Story 1. AITAH for implying my friends are being cheap over my wedding? Throwaway because I know my friends use Reddit. I, 38F, am marrying my fiancé, 38M, next year. I'm the last of my friends to get married, and honestly, I'd made my peace with being single and getting a dog before I met my fiancé. I am part of a group of 6 girlfriends who have all known each other since college. We've been through everything together: breakups, holidays, weddings, babies, promotions. When I told them I got engaged, they seemed happy and sent me congratulations messages. But when everyone else got engaged, they threw them parties or went out for dinner to celebrate. They didn't in my case. I gave them nearly a year's notice on my bachelorette party, which I'm keeping low-key as I don't want a big thing. We're going for dinner and drinks at one of my favorite restaurants in our city. However, slowly, all of my friends have been dropping out, saying they can't get a babysitter, or they have to work late, or they're on a work trip. I've obviously invited them all to the wedding as well, which again is a small affair, and one has already messaged the group chat saying she's not sure she can get a babysitter for that day. My wedding is months away, and I'm finding it really hard to believe that she knows that far in advance. 2 others have also said they're not going to stay for the reception as they will be tired by then. Here's where I may be the asshole. The straw that broke the camel's back was when I sent the link to the registry. My finance and I already have a house together, so we're asking for mostly small things. Nothing goes beyond $50, and we're delighted with anything that anyone chooses to buy us. They sent a message into the chat saying they were going to band together to get me an air fryer as a group gift. It costs $40, so I was a bit surprised that they seemed to be chipping in about $8 each. Over the years, I must have spent thousands of dollars on their weddings, 2 of which were in overseas. I have attended dinners and brunches to celebrate their job promotions and bought gifts for their babies, all the while feeling terrible about myself watching my friends celebrate the happiness I never thought I'd get. I sent a message just asking for clarification if it was all of them buying it together, and one replied asking if I was calling them cheap, and then there has been dead silence since. That really wasn't my intention, but it really feels like because I'm last. They're just over having to do these events, and it's really feeding into my insecurity at getting married so late. But they do have legitimate reasons for these things. They all have lives and kids, and maybe not as much money as when we were a bit younger, and maybe I'm just letting my insecurities get in the way. So Reddit, AITAH, relevant comment. Andrea Renee, NTA, these people aren't your friends. Find a new friend group. Oh, and they are cheap. Somatic conviction. Yeah, these people do not like op. She is not picking up on it for some reason. Famous Ohio Applehorn. OP seems to be what I call the leftover friend. Basically, that one awkward person that has been in your group forever, but isn't really anybody's friend. Aside from maybe the one girl who brought her into the group in the first place, weddings, baby showers, and birthdays are the perfect time for everyone else to be like Jerry Seinfeld with hands up. I don't want to be around her. I'm 40 years old. Can I just not go to her party? This time 232. I was willing to consider for a bit that maybe having kids made things different now from when they were all getting married. But buying an air fryer as a group gift? That's cheap. NTA. The donkey forcer. The worst part is actually the cheapness. If you're asking for all this understanding and compromise from one friend when being singled out and given 0 effort, the least thing anyone can do to make up for that is get the most awesome gift as a, sorry I didn't make the effort to come, here's something to make up for it a bit. What they've shown now is that they don't want to make an effort on her at all, and also, they don't want to spend money on her at all. I'd send this post to the group chat and then say my goodbyes, including, "Don't bother with the air fryer. I've had more hot air by now than I can handle in a lifetime." NTA. Snarky ginger one. Your friends are not really friends in the definition. They are acquaintances. This happens quite often. People have lives, and they may still remain in contact with you, but you're not their go-to. You're very generous, and they have benefited from that. It reminds me of Sex and the City Season 6, Episode 9, A Woman's Right to Shoes. OOP updated the next day, September 23, 2024, same post. Update. Hi, everyone. I didn't think I would have an update to give, but I wanted to repay everyone's kindness. Some people said some really lovely and helpful things. First off, I wanted to clarify a few questions that were asked. I didn't care at all what they bought us as a gift. I didn't care if they got us a gift at all. It was never about the air fryer. I really wasn't calling them cheap. I was just clarifying if it was coming from all of them. I also didn't ask if they were getting us a gift. They brought this up themselves. I couldn't put my finger on why it made me feel a bit weird. I think the word I was searching for was disrespect. Someone said an $8 gift is worse than no gift, and I think that's the heart of it. The money issue came up as well. As far as I know, all of my friends are fairly solvent. We all work in the finance field, mostly as accountants. 3 are very senior in their firms, and all of their husbands have good jobs. But we never discuss money, and I know kids, and the cost of living is high at the moment. So I'd never want to assume anyone's financial status, but everyone seems okay. The other issue was a lot of people asked how often we see each other, and the answer is quite regularly. We made a pact years ago to meet up at least once a month no matter how crazy life gets, and we've mostly been able to stick to that. The 6 of us usually meet for Sunday brunch. Apart from that, I live in the same neighborhood as 2 of them, so we do dinner occasionally, and parties for their kids, etc. are a must. The last question was my wedding isn't child-free and is in our city. I love kids, and my friends' kids are surrogate nieces and nephews to me, and they are all invited. The friend who said she couldn't find childcare said she didn't want to bring her kids because she said weddings are easier without them. Lastly, some suggested they don't like my fiancé. They've never given me that impression. Everyone seems to get on well enough. They've known him for 2 years, and he occasionally goes golfing with some of their husbands. Now, on to the update. Reading the comments was like having cold water thrown over me. I've never considered myself the outsider friend, but a lot of people suggested that I was, and it really threw me, and I got really overwhelmed. I didn't send any message to the group chat, even though lots of commenters gave me really good suggestions about what to write, and I withdrew into myself until my fiancé prized it out of me what was wrong. I showed him this post, and he got super quiet and really angry. I've never seen him this angry over anything ever. He asked if I had spoken to them about this, and I said no. He started to call them individually and read them the riot act. He called them $8 assholes and said he would be sending them an itemized list of the thousands of dollars I'd spent on them over the years. He called bullshit on the one who said she couldn't get a babysitter, and she indeed said she was sick of having to go to the same boring wedding over and over, and yours won't be any different. And he lost it at her. I hate the idea of him fighting my battles for me, so I asked him to stop after the 3rd person. I sent a message into the group chat asking if we could all speak as a group, and the 3 he called sent voice messages saying that my fiancé was a psycho and that they wouldn't speak to me anymore. I just felt really tired and defeated, so I sent a message saying that if they didn't want to be friends anymore, that was fine, and to consider their invitations withdrawn to the bachelorette and wedding. No one has replied, so I guess we're done. I suppose I'm better off, but I don't feel that way. I just feel numb and sad. They've been such a big part of my life for so long, and I really feel the loss, and I'm so sad I won't see their kids anymore. Some of them refer to me as Auntie, and it's making me cry that I won't see them grow up. My fiancé has apologized for rushing in and for not asking me how I wanted to handle it, and I've accepted. We're good, and I'm looking forward to our life together. I mostly wanted to say thank you to the kind Redditors that showed me the light about this and offered congratulations on our wedding and even offered to buy us a gift. I've never watched Sex and the City, but I'll watch the episode some people mentioned. It seems like I'll relate. I'll delete this post soon. I just want to put this behind me now. Story 2. AITAH. For tricking my parents into being on time for my wedding. My M33 parents are late for everything. Like everything. Both of my sisters and myself have been disappointed so many times. Graduation ceremonies, birthday parties, even my father's retirement dinner. It is completely my mother's fault. She's a wonderful mother and I love her dearly. She just does not understand the concept of punctuality. I have seen her talking to her sister on the phone and reminded her she needed to be at my baby sister's dance recital. She waved me off and arrived after my sister had danced. We are all used to it. My dad is just done trying to get her to be on time for anything. My now wife, F28, told me in no uncertain terms that if my mother was late for our wedding, she would do terrible things to me. She was only half joking, but she was a witness to my mom and dad arriving halfway through my cousin's quinceañera. So here's what I did. It is completely on me. Me wife was not involved. If there is a dick move, it was completely mine. When we were getting samples for the wedding, I talked to the printer and had one special invitation printed with the time on it, stated AS being 1 hour earlier than the actual start time of the ceremony. My mother was beside herself apparently when they left the house and thought they were going to miss the wedding since she was a part of it with her and my MIL lighting the candles we would use to light the unity candle and stuff. When she arrived and noticed other people were also just arriving and parking, she was so relieved that we were starting late that she just went with it. The ceremony went off beautifully, and so did the wedding pictures and the reception. The problem came last Sunday. My parents came over for a big family dinner and we didn't bother starting the grill until they showed up. She asked why everyone wasn't eating and we just said we knew we would be waiting for them since they are always late. She said that she was not always late and had been on time for my wedding. She hadn't been. They arrived 45 minutes after the time on their invitation. My idiot cousin John, real name because it's common and he deserves people to know he's a dolt, snorted at her statement. A few other people giggled or smiled at this and she picked up and asked what was so funny. I came clean and told her about this special invitation. She is pissed at me for not trusting her and making her look foolish in front of everyone. If my cousin had just controlled himself, she never would have known. AITAH! Edit. Part of the reason she is mad is because she had her invitation framed. To be honest, I was already planning a heist with my sisters to replace it with the real one, in case she ever noticed the discrepancy between hers and the one we have framed in our home. Edit number 2. Yeah, we are Latinos. And no, I do not in any way consider it racist. How many of you guessed that? I have been to Spain and it's an issue there too. And the Philippines. Basically anywhere those guys were in charge. Edit 3. Stop defending John. He and I have spent 30 years messing with each other. I have an AITAH story that ends with me getting an offensive tattoo, $5,000 for removal, and him getting a body cavity search at the Mexican border. I would post it, but it happened like 10 years ago. Verdict: not the asshole. AITAH for causing my cousin to have a body cavity search at the Mexican border September 1st, 2022. Fine, you win. Here is the relevant part of the story. I grew up with my older cousin John. We constantly fight like in a cartoon. I also know I can trust him with my life, and he knows I will always have his back. We do, however, try and fuck each other over as much as possible, because it's funny. So he and I went on vacation to Mexico. Things happened. I got a tattoo. Different story. Anyways, since we have relatives all over, I can always find anything I need. In this particular case, what I needed was some of the substance that cops use to train drug-sniffing dogs. It is not an illegal or controlled substance in Mexico, but the dogs will hit on you if they smell it. So I have to stay in Mexico a few extra days to deal with some of the situation he created. I was kind enough to take him to the border in TJ so our other cousin could pick him up on the American side. I was just hoping he would get the shot scared out of him when the drug dogs hit on his luggage. We learned from a young age never to carry anything illegal over international borders because we are almost always selected for screening. I knew for a fact he was clean, just hung over. Anyways, it turns out that when a kid born in a certain South American country, carrying a Canadian passport, and only a backpack crosses the border, and the drug dogs indicate he should be searched, he gets very thoroughly searched. And when they don't find anything, well, let's just look at the title of this post. He thinks I went too far. AITAH? Edit. Yes, I'm fully aware it was overkill. Can I defend my actions? Not really. Taken as a totality of our lives, though, I still probably owe him for the stuff he has done to me. Like a lot. For the record, I did apologize. Update July 22nd, 2024, 2 years later. What happened? My parents have been embarrassed for 2 years now because of how I tricked them into being on time for my wedding. Pretty much every time I see them, they say I was a dick not to trust them. Our church is very busy and full of young people, so lots of weddings. to the point where there are 3 weddings every Saturday all summer long. 1 at 10, 1 at noon, and 1 at 3. Sometimes, but not often, there is also an evening wedding. My little sister just got married. She snagged the noon slot. My mom got super involved in planning the wedding to prove that I'm just an immature asshole. She said that she would be on time and not miss anything. Side note, I personally hate when people clink glasses to get the bride and groom to kiss. At our wedding, people had to sing a song. My cousin John has no shame and sang like 10 times. I think people were bribing him with alcohol. I set up a betting pool for kisses depending on how late my parents were. It cost $10. And if you guessed within 5 minutes, you got a free pass to make my sister and her husband kiss. Almost everyone bet on time because of the shitstravaganza at my wedding. The correct answer was 25 minutes. Only me, my dick cousin John, and his sister Yvonne got free passes for the kissing. And I bet $100. I was confident. We raised almost $1,500 for the honeymoon with my stupid idea, and I got to interrupt my sisters from eating with my 10 passes. Win-win, except for my mom, who thinks I did it to embarrass her. She literally helped plan the wedding and was still late by over half an hour. We were literally cleaning up the decorations in my sister's colors while the next wedding was decorating after us. So that's that. My mom will never change, but I have harnessed her inability to give a shit about punctuality for the good of humanity. See you whenever my littlest sister gets married. Story 3. AITAH for saying no my girlfriend's tradition. Throwaway account. I, M, 30, lost my younger brother when I was 22. He had cancer and fought very hard. Ever since, I've been donating blood on the anniversary of his death every year. I take the day off from work, visit his grave, donate blood, and then come home, relax, and watch his favorite movie. I know it's a simple personal tradition, but it means a lot to me. My girlfriend of 9 months, Anna, F, 31, asked if I could meet her and her mom. I have met her many times before, and it wasn't the meet the parents for the first time situation, for lunch yesterday. I told her no and explained again about what I do on my brother's death anniversary. She got upset and said, "Well, it's my tradition to have lunch with my mom every time she's in town, and she really wanted to see you. You can do your stupid blood donation tradition any day." I explained to her that it's not just about the blood donation. Later in the evening, while I was resting and watching my brother's favorite movie, she texted me again, asking me to join them. I reiterated that I really didn't want to and would hang out with her mom next time. She replied that I had embarrassed her in front of her mom with my selfishness and laziness. Since then, she's been distant. Do I owe her an apology? AITAH? Some of OOP's comments. Commenter. Question. Did Anna know about this tradition before her mother came to visit? I'm thinking the answer is yes because you said explained again, but I wanted to verify this. OOP, yes, I have mentioned it many times before. I think she forgot about the date, so I re-explained that I can't join them that day for that reason. Commenter, NTA. She doesn't respect your tradition, which is 1 day a year. Her mom will probably come to town more than 1 time in the year. Your girlfriend is selfish and entitled. OP, yes, she is retired and lives 3 hours away. She comes here often. Commenter, your tradition outweighs getting dinner with a visiting relative/in-law. I'm sorry for your loss. I hope you had a good day of remembering him. If I could, what's his fave movie? OP, there are 2 actually. LOL, the very first Despicable Me movie in Star Wars, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Commenter, have you watched the new one? I see all the movies my dad would have loved to see from the franchises he loved. OP, not yet. I'm planning to watch it with my dad. My mom died when we were kids and my dad raised us alone, on my brother's birthday. Plan B is having him over for a movie night on my brother's birthday if the movie will no longer be on movie theaters in December. Commenter, I think you would need to think very carefully about this. GF. Losing someone you live is very hard, and she is very careless with your feelings. Sorry for you, loss. I lost my brother when he was 12 and I was 15. Still miss him. OOP, my condolences. I miss him a lot. There are certain video games I can't even look at or play anymore because it was our special thing. Commenter, downvoted. I see plenty of room for doing lunch with your GF and her mom and still commemorating your brother's death in the same day. It would have been easy to fit lunch between visiting a grave, drawing blood, and seeing a movie. You also missed a chance to invite your GF to partake in your ritual, and instead seem to have just used it as an excuse to not go out with them. You're going to lose a lot more people in life before it's through. I understand death is hard, but it's been nearly a decade. Sometimes clinging to those ancient memories only holds us back. OOP. She had never met him. He passed long before my current relationship. She never showed any interest to join, and I wasn't expecting her to join. I mean, if she wanted to, she would be more than welcome to join. I didn't exclude her. My brother's is not some ancient memory. We were very close, and we only had each other growing up as my dad was working a lot. His memory isn't holding me back in anyways. OP comments 1 hour after posting. I texted Anna that we need to talk after reading the comments. I'm going to end it. I don't have her mom's number, unfortunately. OOP 3 hours later, when asked for an update. Sure. So far, no reply. OOP responds to a downvoted commenter, I'm not apologizing. I sent her a text to meet so I can end it. Expecting to have 1 day out of a year is not too much to ask for. Update, same post, September 22nd, 2024, 2 days later. I texted her that we needed to talk. She never replied. Just blocked me from everywhere. Social media, WhatsApp. Her best friend who was following me on Instagram blocked me too. I'm not sad. I wanted to end it anyways. Thank you for your support, everyone. I really appreciate your kind comments. Some users suggested that my brother/remembrance tradition saved me from getting serious with her and lifetime of misery, and it made me smile. Thank you again. Story 4. AITAH for telling my wife that I'm tired of raising a kid that is not mine. I, 31M, am married to my wife Amber, 30F. We have a daughter Emma, 7F. The problem is my wife's best friend Jennifer, 30F, has a daughter as well. Harper, 7F. Well, Harper's dad is a lazy sack of crap and refuses to do anything with his daughter. He is the type of guy that brags about how he never changed a diaper. Jennifer and Harper are usually at Amber and my house on the weekends because Harper's dad is drinking and watching sports all weekend. On Saturdays, I normally spend all day with my daughter because I don't see her as much as I want to during the week. However, with Harper being there every Saturday, anything I do with Emma, I have to do with Harper. Take Emma to the zoo, it's Emma, Harper, and I. Taught them both how to ride bikes, takes them both to dance class, take them both to the kids' salon, and so on. Mother's Day was the last draw. I took them both to dance class Saturday morning. Amber and I also pay for both dance classes because Deadbeat won't. On the way home, Emma asked if we could stop to get something for Mom for Mother's Day. I said sure, but then it ended up I had to buy something for Harper to her mom as well. On the way home, I just kept thinking, why am I buying someone else's wife a Mother's Day gift? That's his job. A few days later, because I did not want to ruin Mother's Day, I told my wife that I am tired of raising Harper. Her real father needs to step up. I'm tired of it taking away time I get to spend with Emma. She said that Jennifer is her best friend, and we need to be there for Harper. Now she is not speaking to me and sleeping in the guest bedroom. So AITAH? Just wanted to add some updates to questions I see. Emma and Harper are best friends. It was my idea to spend Saturday with Emma. I work more during the week, so I wanted to spend Saturday with Emma and to give my wife a bit of a break. We pay for things. Jennifer's husband thinks it's a waste on money to pay for dance class, and Jennifer can't afford to pay by herself. Jennifer and Harper do things with Amber and Emma 1 or 2 times a week together during the weeknights. Verdict: not the asshole. Comment? Where's Harper's mom in all this? OP. Just hanging out at our place, Harper started to come along because I thought it would be mean to take her friend and not her. At the start, it was not all the time like it is now. So your wife probably enjoys hanging out child-free with her friend every weekend. If your wife doesn't agree to friend-free days, maybe the moms should start needing to attend the outings too? I don't understand why Harper's mom isn't at least driving kids to dance since you pay it, etc. OOP. Our house is on the way to dance, so she comes here first. I also like going to dance. It's kind of fun being the only dad there, And after class, we have our routine of going to the local bakery and getting a croissant and smoothie for breakfast. Are the gift and things you spend on her getting paid back to you? He's OOP. The short answer is no. The longer version is Amber and I make a decent amount more money than Jennifer and her husband does not like to waste his money on the kid. Jennifer cannot afford to pay us back, so any money I spend on her kid I know we are not getting back. 7 years in, you've set the expectation and Harper is not going to understand your withdrawing. So, for taking 7 years to decide this was an issue. OP. I see what you're saying, but it's gradually gotten to this point over 7 years. Part of it is, she is here more now than when she was younger. Part of it is, as Emma has gotten older, we do more involved things. When they were 3, we just went to the playground down the street. Now it's trips to the science center. You should definitely have a talk with this sorry excuse of a father. If anything, just to tell him what you think of him. OOP. I would, but he is not the civil discourse type of guy, but more of the alpha male beat-you-up type of person. Why do you pay for her dance classes? Why can't either of Harper's parents do it? OOP. I pay for the classes because Emma wanted Harper in class with her. Harper's father is the type of who is my money, and Jennifer's money is their money, and he does not want to waste money on classes. Update #1, June 2nd, 2023, 2 weeks later. So, quite a few people has asked for an update on this situation. Sorry it's taken so long, but it's been a hectic few weeks. As for the updates, the Amber and I are fine. Her reaction was based on poor word choices by me, poor communication by both of us, and some things I was unaware of at the time. The short version is, things at home were much worse than I was aware of for Jennifer, and my wife had only recently found out how bad things were. Mother's Day was the straw that broke the camel's back for Jennifer as well. She was raised in a you must stay together for the kids family. When Harper came to me for a gift, she realized that her daughter did not see her sperm donor as a father. So it was time to get out. Jennifer came to my wife to ask for help leaving because she had no family in the area, and Jennifer does not have the financial resources to leave on her own. So the night my wife was going to ask me if we could help her is when I told her I was tired of raising someone else's kid. That's what caused her reaction. The Saturday after our initial argument, Jennifer did not come over and Emma went to her grandparents, so the wife and I had a long discussion about what was going on. That's when I found out all the stuff going on with Jennifer. The wife and I decided that Jennifer and Harper can stay with us for the time being. My problem was never with those two. It was that I had to take over for the deadbeat, or deadbeat if you prefer. When we told Emma about this, she was super happy her friend was staying with her. We had a conversation with her that if she wants to have time with either parent without Harper, just let us know, and we do not want her to feel left out of anything. Last weekend, with the help of a U-Haul and some friends of mine, we got all of Jennifer's and Harper's stuff and moved it into our house. The good thing is we have a 4-bedroom house, so everyone gets a bedroom. The bad news is my wife's office got moved to the basement. Wish me luck, we shall see how this goes. New update. Update #2, 1 year later, May 12th, 2024, 11 months later. So it's been almost a year since my last update, but with Mother's Day upon us, I thought I would post an update and try to answer the questions I've gotten. Jen and Harper are still living with us. As I mentioned before, Jen did not make that much money. She worked as a phlebotomist for our local health network. The good news is, with the current nursing shortage, they have a program where they will pay for employees to go to nursing school. She was able to start that in the end of August. The bad news is it's an 18-month program, and they only let you work 28 hours a week while you're in the program. So the arrangement is once she graduates, she will move out then. That should be next May. The divorce with deadbeat is still ongoing. Once he found out he was going to have to pay child support, he tried every dirty, nasty trick he could think of. No idea when that will be finished. My wife is doing good. She happy she is helping her best friend. But 5 people in a house is a lot more work than 3. Since she works from home, the pre- and post-school work falls on her. Emma and Harper are still best friends. Shockingly, Harper is doing much better in this environment than before. They don't do everything together anymore. Harper quit dance class, but she started with soccer. I think knowing that she will get fatherly attention no matter what she is doing has given her some freedom to pursue other interests. Harper has turned into my Lego buddy. Emma never had any interest, but Harper and I have done some nice sets together. Emma and I still have our daddy-daughter dates on the weekend. I still take her to dance class, and she started to take fencing classes. I don't know if I should be proud or scared that she could defeat me in a sword fight. I think I am doing better a year later. That there is a plan with a timetable for Jen and Harper has relived a lot of stress from my life. That I also don't have to see dead beat has also been a relief. I also try to take a few hours a month for me time and to do my hobbies. The bad part is, I had thought that I was done with the portion of my life where I had roommates. It will also be nice when Jen either gets her nursing job and/or gets child support, so that Amber and I can stop footing the bill for so much. For all the people that said Jen was going to become our sister wife, or that I was going cheat of my wife with her, or that she was going to ruin my marriage out of spite, or any of the weird sexual fantasies some of you people had, absolutely nothing has happened. Story 5. AITAH for banning my wife from naming our baby after her dead best friend. This is a throwaway due to some personal info on this post I don't want being linked back to my main. Long story short, my 28M wife, 28F, is estranged from her family and has been since a teenager. She met Eva as in school, and they were inseparable, with Eva letting my wife stay over a lot as well as providing a constant source of support. I met my wife at university. Unfortunately, Eva died suddenly a year into our relationship. I had met her a few times and she was lovely. My wife was understandably devastated. 2 years ago we married and she took my last name, Brown. Our baby girl is due in the spring, and understandably my wife wants to honor Eva in her name. This is something that she has said throughout the relationship. I was happy with the idea of honoring her, and we have discussed baby names throughout the relationship and pregnancy. The leading name we were tossing about was a place name that had significant memories to them. Yesterday she came up to me and said that she had a dream about Eva asking her to remember her by her name. She had some like this around the time Eva died, but none recently to my knowledge, and to memorialize her, our baby must be called Eva. I said absolutely no way. She said why not, and I reminded her of the historical figure, Eva Braun, pronounced Brown, wife of probably one of history's most evil figures, and reassured her that we will tell our kids about Aunt Eva, and she'll always be remembered. But my wife refused, saying it has to be her name. She says few will make the link to the historical character, and she won't be bullied at school. She said she had fell out with the place name, and a family member has had a baby recently with a similar name. Think Brooke to Brooklyn. I suggested things to do with Eva, such as her birthstone or honoring her through a middle name, or even names that had Eva in. Anything but Eva itself. She started crying and said that she won't name the baby anything else, and it's the ultimate way Eva can live on. I said it's a shitty situation, and if we had literally any other surname we would, but I literally can't. Not only am I extremely morally opposed, I work in a field where if there was wind that I named my child Eva Brown, my work could be at risk. She's saying I'm making excuses and not supporting her as she is putting in a lot of effort to having this baby. This resulted in a fight, and now I'm on the couch for the second night now. Some of our friends are saying I'm being dramatic, but my sister, the mother of Brooke, is telling me that if she continues to register the baby without her. To be honest, I'm leaning that way if she continues not to compromise. I'm really not sure what to do. AITAH for not wanting to name my baby Eva? Relevant commas. Can you use your wife's maiden name? My wife is estranged from her family and was very eager to drop her maiden name. She has said that name makes her think of her horrible past. I know she would not ever change her name back, let alone name a child with it. She is also really close to my family, who took her as one of their own in when we met due to her situation. We are UK, so yes, she could have kept the name if she wanted to. She is estranged from her family and has been for 10 years. Her family don't know where she is or of my existence. She had a common first but a distinct maiden name, so wanted to swap to my, obviously rather common name, not only because she wants no ties to that name, but also so they could not find her, as they are very bad, dangerous people. This is also why we will not consider comments about swapping to her maiden name. OOP's profession and why people would know. I work as a history teacher in a very liberal school, and Nazis is a decent chunk of the curriculum for some of my older students. Not that I would share my personal life in depth to the students, my colleagues and SMT would definitely ask about it. I hope to rise the ranks at this school, so I don't want to affect that. I also have a cousin who is one of my older students, so there is a risk of students, and de facto parents, finding out my baby's name that way if her friends ask. Braun is pronounced Brown in German, so people who know history will know. Yes, I'm based in the UK and I teach the Nazis in my syllabus. While my German is very basic and picked up from a couple of weeks traveling plus some of the vocab I've come across in my job, I thought Braun was pronounced with a similar AU sound to Hauptmann or Augen. Correct me if I'm wrong, just curious. Editor's note: in case you were wondering, Eva Braun was Hitler's wife. No verdict was reached because the post was removed, but the top comment is NTA and most seem to be in agreement. Update post January 28, 2024, 22 days later. Hi all, it's been a while and I didn't realize I was still logged into this account. I didn't expect my AITAH post to blow up so much, and I'd like to thank you all for your comments. They really gave me food for thought. Well, soon after posting I called up Eva's sister, Rose, as my wife, Lou, is really close to her and explained the situation. I know, I shouldn't get people involved in marital matters, but Rose's opinion really matters to Lou, especially when Eva is involved. Rose agreed with me that naming a daughter Eva Braun would be harmful, and she mentioned something that we believe to be a game changer. One thing you must know about the late Eva, dear reader, was that she was a writer. She kept journals, which her sister held on to after her death. In one of these journals was a baby name list, where she gave 5 names for a girl and 5 names for a boy. Rose held on to these names when she was having children. One of her sons is named the top boy name, but she is done now and wants to give it to my wife. But we believed we have to introduce this carefully, so we launched a game plan. The next day I sat down with Lou and said on no uncertain terms would our daughter be called Eva. Braun is the only surname we have, and Eva is not something I'd feel comfortable pairing with it. As I mentioned in comments, my wife is estranged from her family and often jokes that we got married so young, at 22, so she could get rid of her maiden name. She agreed that our child will take our married name, but continued to stress about forgetting Eva. I also mentioned that by naming a child Eva, you'd be pressuring that child to live on for dead Eva, and that's a big burden for young shoulders. My cousin was named after a dead relative, and my grandparents often compared him to that relative, and that's not something I want for my own child. That seemed to resonate, and she admitted that pregnancy was bringing up old feelings as she and Eva always said that they'd be pregnant together. I suggested therapy, and she started therapy last week. I then talked about mine and Rose's conversation, and she was very interested. We agreed that it would be lovely giving Eva the opportunity to name a child, knowing it was something she was seemingly passionate about, and have narrowed it down between 2 of the 5 girl names. Turns out the girl had taste. Being able to discuss baby names and thinking about our daughter as her own person has been a blessing, and I can see my wife is on the mends. I think this will be the only update, and I can't wait to meet my daughter. Thank you all for your help. Story 6. AITAH because I, 38F, don't want to take my stepson, 9, on vacation. My husband, 39, and I have been married for 5 years. We have 2 children of our own, both girls, age 5 and 2. I also have a son, 10, from a previous marriage, but I was widowed. My husband's ex is barely involved in stepson's life at all. They got divorced when stepson was 2, and his ex wanted a fresh start. So my husband did the decent selfless thing and had complete custody of their son, even though he'd wanted shared custody. I got a bonus at work and I really want to go on vacation with just my family just once. We've been on family vacations all together lots of times. But just once I want to spend my money going on vacation where I'm not looking after someone else's kid. I want stepson to stay with his mom while we go on vacation. My husband sees my point of view and is okay with it. I don't think I'm being at all unreasonable. My mom found out what I was planning and says I'm being a complete AH. These are the reasons she says I could be the AH. My mom says that if stepson's mom isn't properly involved in his life, I should be even more involved in his life to compensate. I think this is a completely unfair expectation. 2. She also says that I'm being a hypocrite taking my son, but I think that's totally different because my son doesn't have another parent. I'm all he's got. If stepson's mom won't take him just for once, then obviously he'll come on vacation with us. But I don't think I'm the AH to ask if I can have a vacation with my own family just one time. It's not like I hate stepson or something. He's a nice kid. He's just not mine. Am I the AH? Relevant comment? Asinine Adeline. Info. If my math is right, you and your husband got married when stepson was 4. What kind of relationship does stepson have with you versus with his bio-mom? OP. Yes, he was 4, and as I said, he barely sees his bio-mom. I'm not sure what point you're making. Verdict, asshole. Update, Jules. 22/2023. Assumed. She tried to post a separate update, which was removed, so she added it to the original post instead. Update. AITAH, because I, 38F, don't want to take my stepson, 9, on vacation. We definitely won't be going on vacation without stepson. After a couple hours of replies, I decided to show this to my husband. We sat down and had a really long talk about it. He told me he's never been comfortable with my attitude to stepson, but didn't know how to say to me before. I don't want to be a bad person. I just never thought of stepchildren being yours. I don't think it would be easy for anyone to accept this level of criticism, but all your replies have shown me I have a lot of work to do. As many of you suggested, and so did my husband, I intend to see a therapist to help me with that. As I said, I don't hate stepson in any way. I have never been deliberately cruel to him. I've just always thought of him as my husband's child, but I realize my mindset needs to change. So I'm going to start working on that. I want my family to be the best it can be, and I need to accept that it includes my stepson. I understand that now, and I'm going to start seeing a therapist to become a better person. We've also talked about maybe having family therapy too. I've also made up with my mom, and she is 100% behind the changes I want to make in my life. It wasn't easy to hear everything you said, but I understand that I needed to hear it. New update asterisk. Update to my AITAH post June 20th, 2024. In July 2023, I wrote a post on the AITAH subreddit about taking a family vacation without my stepson. I wasn't given permission to post an update to my original post on the subreddit because the replies I got were too heated, and the mods advised me to post an update to my profile instead. When I made my original post, I was told by literally thousands of people that I was TA, and it helped me see how wrong I was and had been for the last 5 years. I booked a therapy appointment the following week and started working through my issues. My own father died when I was less than a year old. I don't even remember him. My mother married another man when I was 7, but he left when I was 11, and I never saw him again. It hurt me in a way I'd never processed before. I loved him. He'd been my dad, and suddenly he was just gone. That taught me that step-relatives weren't part of your family. They weren't forever. I always thought I was doing better than my ex-stepdad. Because I provided for my stepson, and I stayed in his life, I was better than my ex-stepdad. But I made my stepson feel the way my ex-stepdad made me feel when he left me, and I regret it so much. A little while after I started therapy, we started family therapy too. The therapist helped me explain to my stepson the way I felt about step-relatives and why I'd always behaved the way I did. He cried and said he was afraid that I just didn't like him, and we had the first proper talk we'd ever had. I told him that wasn't true, and I had just been a bad step-parent like my ex-stepdad had been to me. My relationship with my stepson is so much better now. We spend time together, just the two of us, and except for this post, I never call him or think of him as my stepson. He's my son. I accept now that he'll always be my son, that unlike my ex-stepdad, he's forever. Even if something happens between me and his dad, he'll still be my son. Most of all, he always called me by my first name, but last Thanksgiving he asked to start calling me Mom. It made me so happy. I told him that I loved him, and he said he loved me too. Since then, he always just calls me Mom. A lot of people also talked about the ways my husband needed to improve, to be more assertive and protective of his children. He knows that. It's very easy to see the problems when they're presented to you all at once in a Reddit post, but when things happen day to day, it's a lot harder to realize how issues are building up. But he's working hard, like we both are, to try to make our family the happiest it can be. We both know we still have to keep working at this. I'm still in therapy, and we're still having family therapy. But I'm grateful to work at it. I'm grateful to have all my children. It's very hard for me to write this, to think about the way things were before I started therapy. It makes me cry every time I think about it. But I want to thank you, Reddit. I wrote my original post just looking for validation from my own point of view, and I never thought the internet could change my life this way. But it has. I feel like for the first time we're truly a family. Thank you all. Story 7. AITAH for not trying harder to let my ex know our son passed. Sorry for any layout issues, I'm on my phone. Also, throw away as my ex follows my main. Both myself, F, and my partner, M, were 28 when I found out I was pregnant. Together 4 years. Personally, I didn't want the child. My work was offering potential advances within my position, and I was excited for it. But after a lot of talking, we decided to go forward with it. When I was around 20 weeks, just after finding out the gender, he disappeared. I couldn't contact him, he wouldn't answer the phone or messages. I got worried and messaged his mother and found out he was living back with her and was overwhelmed with the situation. He kept paying his part of the bills over to my bank each month, but I received no contact. I even tried going over, nothing. By about 27 weeks, I gave up trying, gave up crying, and just got on with what I thought was a future as a single mother. I brought everything needed over the next couple of weeks and set it all up. At 31 weeks, I started having pains, but put it down to Braxton Hicks. Just before 32 weeks, my waters went and I went into labor, with the baby coming very quickly. He went straight to NICU. I messaged and rang my ex and his mother, no response. Less than a week later, my son passed due to complications of early birth. I again tried to contact my ex and his mother, left voicemails and messages. Nothing. The next few weeks were a blur. But with the help of my mother and father, his funeral was arranged. They tried to contact ex and his mother also, still nothing. I sent more messages, nothing. I'm assuming we were probably all blocked, but honestly, at that point I didn't care. I was so broken. His funeral came and went. It was beautiful and horrible. I stopped messaging and told my family not to bother after the funeral had passed. I couldn't deal with it anymore. About 5 months after his death, my ex turned up. Let himself in. I wasn't at home, but when I got back, he was instantly hostile. The flat was clearly not set up for nor accommodating a small child. He demanded to see his son. I broke down and told him what happened. I have never seen him so sad and angry. He stormed out, slamming the door on his way out. Within half an hour, I got a nasty call from his mother, followed by messages from siblings, other family. How dare I not let them know something so serious? How could I hide something like that out of petty spite? I truly didn't. I tried. But I couldn't keep trying. It's been nearly 3 weeks now of them being awful. I was speaking to my sister this weekend, and she said, TBF, it was a bit of a dick move to not keep trying. They deserve to know. Was it? I tried so hard to let him know, but I was struggling so hard too. I lost my son too. AITAH? Should I have done more? Edit. Thank you all so much for your responses. Sorry for not replying to any. Reading them has been a lot. Honestly, I'm going to drink a bottle of wine or two, read your kind responses, and cry myself to sleep. Writing this all out and living it again has been hard. Unfortunately, I'm not able to change the locks, landlord said no, but my tenancy ends on the 12th of June, and I already have a new flat to move into. And thankfully, my dad has been able to cover the cost of a private therapist, and I see her again Tuesday. Thank you all so much again for your kind words. Second edit. If I had realized this was going to blow up so much, then I probably would have just posted to my main. If you see this post anyway, read it, Lewis. Then read it again. Then read the comments. Then just leave me alone. Thank you all for your comments. I'm going to show my therapist the post when I see her and talk it through. But honestly, it has helped a lot. even if I did cry quite a bit. I'm going to sleep now and won't be back on this post. But thank you all. OOP is voted NTA. Update post, August 10th, 2023, 2.5 months later. The previous post was locked, but I've had a few messages asking after me, so before I leave this account completely, I just wanted to let people know I'm all right. The move went smoothly. I'm far enough away that there is no risk of bumping into my ex or his family. I changed my number and deleted all social media, so haven't had anything from them personally for about 6 weeks. My sister apologized for what she said, and we've spoken a lot about it all. I definitely don't think our relationship is the same, but we're okay. I still hear they're speaking badly about me from friends, but I try and ignore it. I'm in therapy still, and am trying my hardest to move forward with everything. I visit my son's grave when I can. Thankfully, my ex and his family care so little about more than themselves. They never asked where he is buried, so I can do so in peace. Thank you all for everything you said. I have found myself going back to the previous post a lot over the last couple of months, and it has helped more than I can express. I'll be leaving this account now, but again, thank you. Relevant comments. Can you explain what your sister said was thinking? My dad chewed her out in a big way when he found out what she said to me. She said that she didn't realize how much we tried to contact him and thought it was like when I was pregnant, that I decided not to bother with X anymore and just do it all myself. Honestly, it seems like bullshit. My parents were my support throughout everything, but my sister wasn't so absent. She didn't know we rang and messaged a lot. But her apology did seem genuine, and she has had nothing nice to say about how they've been since. If anyone's going to blow up at them, it'll be her. But my dad said to leave it and let them ruin themselves. Update post 2, April 24th, 2024, 8 months later. Forgot about Reddit till I was clearing out some apps for phone space. Thought I'd send out a final update before I send the app to the void. Wish I could say things are amazing. Great job, new partner, blah blah blah. But it's nothing as great or exciting as that. Moved into my new flat last year and it's nice. Forgot how expensive it is to live alone, but I'm managing. I did end up getting a new job. Its pay is about the same, job role also, but X doesn't know where it is. He didn't show up at old job or anything exciting like that. I just wanted a new start along with my new home. No new partner, I don't have it in me to date yet. Sister stuff, we're LC. She apologized, but she still speaks with X on occasions, according to my mum. Nothing dramatic and Reddit style like OMG, they're actually secretly few asterisk king and have 5 babies and blah. Just that my sister will talk to him if they bump into each other, but honestly kinda hurts after everything. Still in therapy, I doubled the length of sessions around the 1-year date of my son's passing. Thankfully, my ex didn't turn up at his grave, or at least not when I was there. I'm not gonna go into it too much, but it sucked, it hurt a lot, and I spent quite a few days drunk and crying in bed after the visit. My dad has been my rock through this all. I'm still paying him back for everything. He waves me off when I say I'm gonna pay pound X amount this month, but I know his bank cries LOL. We have a morning together on a Sunday where we just drink tea, catch up, maybe put on the F1. It's nice and I love the time together. But basically just boring, thankfully. No ex-contact nor his family, no massive life changes, just one foot in front of the other. I reread everything I posted last year and read loads of the comments again, and I just want to say thank you. I was in a really bad place mentally, and it was hard to see that I wasn't the villain in this. A mixture of therapy and all the comments helped. So, thank you all. Bye-bye. Story 8. AITAH for telling my 23F BF 24 that it's his fault if he misses our flight and that I'll continue without him? Original post, August 14th, 2024. My boyfriend and I planned a trip for the end of the summer months ago. Last night, we were still trying to decide how we'd get to the airport when my mom told me that she could take us before work. I told my boyfriend, who lives 30 minutes from my house, to be at my house no later than 6 a.m. for my mother to drive us to the airport at 6:15. He promised that he would be there around 5:45. This morning, he was nowhere to be seen or heard from until around 6:20. He told me that his phone fell and he didn't hear it. By then, my mom had to leave and take just me, or she'd be late to work. I told him that he should drive to the airport or get an Uber. His mom decides that she will drive him an hour to the airport, since he was too late for my mom to take us. He gets to the airport a little after me, and I check in our bags. We get to the bag drop, and he realizes he does not have his ID. His wallet is at his house, which is about an hour from the airport. I tell him that I'm going to continue to TSA and go to the gate. His mom is going back to get his wallet, which will obviously take a while. I tell him that I'm getting on the flight regardless, and that if he misses it, then it's a result of his own mishaps. He then begins to ask me what to do if he misses it. I tell him that he's an adult and should figure out a way to make it to our destination by contacting customer service. I planned everything for the trip down to the flights and travel arrangements. I feel like at this point, I've done all I can do to ensure a successful and smooth trip, and I don't feel as if it's my responsibility to do damage control for him if he misses the flight. There is no refund for the Airbnb that we split the price for if we do not go. AITAH for continuing without him? Relevant comments. OOP had hundreds of comments, so I only picked a few. Commenter: is he like this in other aspects of life? Honestly, it sounds exhausting. If so, some time alone will help you gain some perspective. Enjoy your trip, alone or otherwise. OP, he's often late, which is why I told him an earlier time specifically to avoid that. I called him endlessly, and he didn't wake up until way after the time we agreed upon. His mom had to go to him and wake him up. I told her that I was going to leave without him, and she said, "He was up late." So was I. I already told him that I was getting exhausted of planning literally everything and that I want him to begin to take some charge and responsibility, and this happens. Commenter: sounds like maybe he should go on a trip with his mom instead, since she's so willing to put up with his oop. This is a pattern that I've noticed from her repeatedly. It's definitely making me reconsider some things now. Commenter: it feel like you are mothering him, since you need to keep on calling him to wake up and keep up with the itinerary for the trip. Does he always need to keep on rely on people to remind him? OP: he has overslept and been late for different things on multiple occasions. He does work hard and used to work night shifts, so I let it slide. But he did not work yesterday and took a nap during the day. For context, I didn't take a nap, did errands all day and stayed up late for online class. Still woke up on time.
Get on that plane!
I'm going to board. When we were checking our bags, he asked me how to put the bag tag on. At that point, I was over it and already decided I'm taking this vacation, with him or not. He's actually leaving for Marine Boot Camp on Sept. 3, which is why we planned the trip. OOP clarifies, I have ADHD as well, so I understand. I'll forget where I put a hair clip that's in my hair. I tell him to set multiple alarms all the time, and he has an Apple Watch that's never charged. To another commenter, I have ADHD, so I completely understand. The issue with that is, he doesn't really advocate for himself. He has struggled with mental health issues and refused to go to therapy. He has cystic acne and only this year saw a dermatologist because I called around places in our state until I found someone that would schedule an appointment. Commenter: NTA, please update as to whether or not he made the flight. OP: he's currently asking me the gate number. I already told him. I told him to download the app and gave him the confirmation number. He told me to stop making it harder for him. Commenter: did you reply, "Stop making it harder for me"? OP: I put my phone on airplane mode as the pilot directed. Commenter: how do I say this gently? What are his redeeming qualities? OP: he's very kind, loving, respectful, and will provide just about anything morally or materially that I need, but considering whether that's enough now. Commenter: did he make the plane? OOP: no. Coming later tonight on another, to another commenter, LOL, he didn't make the flight, but he's on another one later tonight. I also was really beginning to enjoy the idea of going alone. Commenter: best part of this story was my BF, not my fiancé. Keep him if you want. But how long do you want to give him enough time to grow up? OP: Lowell, that's true. We have been discussing marriage for a while. I'm going to reverse that discussion later today. To another: well, we're on the trip together for 5 days. He's arriving later. I don't want to sour the rest of the time. But once we return, I will make an important decision. Mini update, 16 hours later. He's here. I told him I don't want to talk about it tonight. Mini update 2, next day. There are no bad vibes. We had a conversation and he agreed with my concerns. Update post, August 18th, 2024, 4 days later. This is long but asked for. Skip the first body of text if you read the OG post. I think the trip, despite the mishaps and the conclusion that I'm going to come to at the end of this note, was eye-opening for me, and I'm grateful for it. I have had a track record of misjudging and misinterpreting behaviors, and I promised myself that it wouldn't happen again. So I set my boundaries early. The trip began with him oversleeping and therefore not meeting me at my house to carpool to the airport. Not a heinous act in itself, but something that has happened multiple times on different occasions. Once he finally awoke and met me at the airport late, he discovered that he did not have his wallet. The most important thing to have when traveling. Wondering how someone could forget something so essential, I waited for him to look for it to no avail. He called his mother, blaming her for rushing him in the morning, which could have been avoided by him being a responsible adult and waking up on time and preparing his things the night before, and not taking any accountability. Luckily, she came to his rescue. But not soon enough. He had to rebook his flight and arrived later that day. In the process, still asking me what gate number the flight was, while the gate number was displayed on a screenshot that he sent me, instead of using the information that I spoon-fed to him. I organized the entire trip, down to transportation, flight, accommodations, and more. I gave him a small ball to carry, and he still dropped it. In the process of dropping that ball, he failed to take accountability for his actions. I should have known how the rest of the trip would go. During the trip, there were multiple instances that solidified the feelings that were already looming. Outbursts of anger that were followed by childlike behavior and excuses. When confronted, there were only excuses and a lack of accountability. All followed by, "But I'm trying so hard. What am I doing wrong?" despite the issue being directly explained. He lost his debit card, and despite my efforts in tracing his steps, calling businesses we visited, and everything, he stormed off ahead of me in range, leaving me behind, walking alone on the street. When I explained why that bothered me and was unacceptable, here came more excuses and rambling about how he didn't mean for it to happen, but still did it. While walking to different restaurants, he cussed at men who'd even look at me, stare them down and almost cause a scene. He misplaced his wallet before dinner and acted in the same rage-full manner, cussing, slamming things, throwing items around, instead of calmly looking for his wallet. I sat there in disbelief, as this behavior had not been something I had seen before. I told him that this was unattractive and demonstrated a lack of control and emotional maturity. More excuses. There are probably more examples that I could use, but they're fleeing my mind. It's the night before departure. I'm in tears. It started at the beach. We decided to take a night swim. All was well until he lost his ring in the ocean. Luckily, I was right next to him, so I was able to quickly use my hands and grab it. He got out to put it in the sand. Smart, right? Once we were done, he got upset that I sent his mom a video of him dancing. I walked away because I didn't want to hear it. He then called me back to tell me that he lost his ring in the sand. We look for the ring. By we, I mean me on my hands and knees and him walking around with a flashlight. I finally find it. We begin to walk back to the room. I say, "Can I say something serious? I am beginning to feel like your mother sometimes, keeping track of your things and helping you do damage control." He responds with a lot. How I didn't have to help him. How I don't acknowledge everything he's been doing, like calling Ubers and paying for things. How I'm not like his mom, and how he didn't ask me to do anything. In anger, I tell him "fuck you" and walk away. Yes, I know this is unkind, and I did apologize for my behavior later. I walk to the room alone. He begs me to talk when he gets there, and I don't want to. I shower and tell him one thing. This trip has really made me reconsider whether I want to be in the relationship. He goes berserk, begging me please to talk to him, saying that I don't acknowledge all the good he's doing, on and on. I tell him that I don't wish to have the conversation, don't wish to be touched, and want to be left alone. Here I also apologize for my rude words, without making any excuses. He tells me I'm always rude. Prior to dating, I did use harsh words when he showed up to my house unexpectedly and demonstrated other signs of emotional immaturity and ignored my wishes. He begins to try to hug me. I tell him to get off of me. He continues to touch me as I try to lay down in the bed, trying to hug and hold my hand. Here, I break down in tears. I run to the bathroom and begin to sob. I come out as he's continually crying and begging me to talk to him. He begins to raise his voice and make a scene. I run to grab the pull-out bed from the closet to sleep on. He blocks me and pushes the bed, telling me I don't need it. I get increasingly aggravated because I'm being blocked and tell him to move out of my way and leave me alone. He doesn't, and protests by sitting on the pull-out bed. I rip the comforter off of the actual bed and make a bed on the floor. He takes the blanket and pillows from under me, saying he won't let me sleep on the floor. He continues to yell in my ear for me to get up, that he loves me, put everything behind us, while he keeps pulling the pillow that I reclaimed. He has finally left me alone on the floor, leaving for the airport in 3 hours. Relevant comment. OOP clarifies, I was thinking about changing my flight, honestly. I am still trying to figure out the logistics of a breakup, like how and when that could happen, after OOP checks on other flights. The flight we have is the earliest of the day. There are others, but no confirmed seats, only standby. Commenter, that's only going to escalate in future arguments. Get home safe, please, and never see this man again. OP. It's concerning because the type of rage that was ignited in me is a type that has only come out with past exes. Being cornered and my personal space violated is something I just cannot do. At all. I will say that I did try to push him out of the way, maybe I shouldn't have, and raised my voice because I was afraid that his yelling would get us kicked out. Our reservation has a quiet hours policy. Get the hell out of where you are staying. I was thinking about this. The Airbnb is under my name. I already know that I can't really trust him with following the closing procedures, so I'm worried about incurring a fee if he leaves something incomplete. Also, if I get up now, I know he will try to prevent me from leaving. Commenter, you had every right to express your anger and frustration. Women are raised from girlhood to be nice and get along and keep the peace. The time for that is over. It's now fuck this shit time. Stop being nice. Be blunt. Be rude if you have to. You need to get him the hell away from you, and you need to never believe his sniveling "I'm trying" bullshit again. OOP. I told him fuck you earlier, when I told him that I felt like I was his mom, and he said, "You didn't have to help me look for the ring. I just asked for help." He said I was rude and that he would never speak to me like that, and that his friends tell him to leave me because of how rude I always am to him. He also called me rude because I left to the room and had the key and he had to get someone else to let him in. Commenter, if you feel unsafe, record a future conversation and send it to his mom. OP, I just thought of this hours later, although I do feel like it will not change anything. When he walked away from me the other day, I told her, and she told me to just be happy with him and be in love and work things out. She makes excuses for him constantly. Commenter, when I read your first post I was concerned. He sounded like a teenage gamer. But during the holiday he was very aggressive. Time to get out. Just block him on everything. Why I talked about talking to his mom was BC. She has enabled his behavior for his entire life. She knows what he's like. OOP. Yeah. There was an instance recently when we went to a soccer game where he was aggressive. He had drinks, and some guy was bumping into him. I was sober and believed it wasn't intentional. I witnessed the entire thing, but he swore the guy was bumping him on purpose. It was a crowded game and we were exiting. Everyone was touching someone. He began to heavily body-check the guy back with extreme force. He went to the bathroom and the guy came up to me and told me that my boyfriend is going to meet the wrong person one day. So embarrassing. I should have audio taped. I feel stupid now. However, I feel like she would definitely make an excuse for him nonetheless. Commenter. Why did you start dating someone who couldn't be respectful even before you were dating? OOP. He wasn't like this before. The aggression is something I haven't witnessed. Commenter. I meant the showing up unexpectedly and ignoring your wishes. What got you past the red flags and into this? I'm not trying to be mean. Just understand. OOP. I guess the apologies and giving the benefit of the doubt. that so many people were upset that I didn't give him in my initial post. I do like to give a first and even second chance. I'm not perfect and don't expect my partners to be. He apologized for the previous behavior and made certain strides in areas, but obviously not the ones that matter the most. Commenter: serious question, is he an alcoholic? He dated one, and on a mini vacation he acted just like this. A petulant child, or is he just weaponized immaturity? OOP: in the past, he has used alcohol to self-medicate and deal with emotions. On one instance, his mom had to drive to his Apple location and found him drunk, asleep in a car outside a friend's house when he promised her he'd be home soon. I'm not sure if the frequency or amount of his drinking would warrant a formal diagnosis of alcoholism, but both of his parents had issues with alcohol during his entire childhood. His mom says that he always gets like that when he drinks as well. We don't drink together often as a couple, but when we do, this has never happened before. We've just gone to clubs and had fun. Mini update. A few hours later, I'm at the airport now. When I left, he was asleep. He hasn't messaged me or read my texts, and his location isn't moving, so I'm assuming he's still asleep. Boarding in 10 mins. Several hours later, I left for the airport, alone. When I left, he was asleep. When I boarded the plane, he texted me saying that I should have woken him up so that he didn't miss the flight. He said that I should have at least woken him up because apparently his phone was on silent. One relevant comment. He actually overslept because I left while he was sleeping to get to the airport. He missed the flight. I sent him a text explaining everything and did let him know to not come to my house or I will call the police. Another few hours later, thank you. He is currently texting my mom long paragraphs trying to explain his behavior. I told her to ignore him. OP clarifies that she broke up with him. I did it via text. New update from OOP in the comments of this post. Hey, thanks for your support. We did break up. He is leaving in a week. To a different commenter, OP here. I did break up with him via text. I told him not to contact my parents or come to our home. He did both the next day, texting my mom and leaving flowers at my doorstep. He is continually telling me he will seek therapy and that I'm the only woman for him who he still loves. And a clarification. OP here. I finished the cleanup task before I left and while he was asleep. About X's job. OP here. He was fired twice for tardiness from Walmart and a warehouse. X's mom. His mother actually told him that he should move on and find someone who doesn't fight with him all the time. I told her initially that his behavior was abusive, and she agreed that he sounded like his dad, her ex-husband, physically, sexually, verbally, emotionally abusive. I told her that I wouldn't even consider him in the future unless he sought therapy and that I had concerns about him passing boot camp. She told me that therapy makes your brain sick and that he should find someone who believes in him. Story 9. AITAH for going to my birthday dinner without my husband when he wasn't ready on time? Original post. February 18th, 2024. It was my 40th birthday a few days ago, and we had a reservation for a table at a nice restaurant for 7 p.m. It takes about 20 minutes to drive to the restaurant, so I plan to leave the house at 6:30 p.m. to build in time for traffic and picking up my father. My husband, 43M, had decided to do a bit of work on his car about half an hour before we needed to leave. At 6:30, when the kids and I were waiting by the door, he was still doing it. He hadn't changed and hadn't showered. I told him to quickly get ready, but it got to 6:50, and he still wasn't ready yet, so I decided to just leave without him. He has a habit of always running late when we go out, and he is always the last one to be ready. Normally I can tolerate it since it only sets things back by 10 minutes at the most, but my birthday dinner was important to me, and I had been looking forward to it for weeks. Making us wait for 20 minutes was taking the mix, so I yelled out that we were leaving and left, because I didn't want to lose the table since we would have arrived about 7:20. I called the restaurant to let them know we would be late, and we luckily still had our table, but my husband didn't show up at the restaurant, and when we got home he was mad at me. I told him that I was tired of him not respecting my time and always making people wait for him, and that he could have made his own way to the restaurant. My father agreed with my decision to leave without him, but my kids were a little upset that he wasn't there to have dinner with us. So AITAH? Relevant. Come on. When you say the kids were upset, Do you mean they were upset with him or you? I hope him. Yes. The kids were upset because my husband wasn't ready and because I was stressing. They thought he didn't want to spend any time with us. They have personally been let down by him when it comes to things like him picking them up from a friend's house. Is he late for things he wants to do, other things? He is always out the house on time for work, and yesterday he went to the pub with some friends and wasn't late for that. He tends to only be late for things including the family. He is always late when it comes to family plans. It's rarely this bad, though. It's normally things like getting changed when it hits the time I wanted to leave or needing to find his wallet and keys and such with no sense of urgency. I was a stay-at-home mom until a few years ago. He changed when I went back to work, although I don't understand how that would affect his time management, unless there's a different reason for him being late. Did he know when you were supposed to leave? He was well aware of when we needed to leave. I always give everyone a 30-minute warning, and it was in the diary for weeks. Does he have ADHD? I don't think he has ADHD. He was on time for things until a few years ago, with the occasional exception, and he is on time for work and his own plans that don't include the family. This top comment exchange. Commenter, NTA. You were already late when you left. If you waited any longer, you wouldn't have a table and thus no birthday party. When you got home, you should have torn him a new one for deliberately trying to sabotage your birthday party. Put him on the defensive, where he should be, for his behavior. Really, though, when your husband decided to do some work on his car, you should have said, "No, you're not doing that. You're going upstairs and getting ready to leave with us." This was a totally predictable problem. In general, you should stop tolerating his lateness. When you do that, it gets worse, not better. OOP. I've brought it up multiple times before, but nothing has changed. I do admit that I can be a pushover when it comes to waiting for him, but I'm sick of having to put other things on hold in order to check if he is ready and being late to family plans. He was late for my mother's funeral last year, and after this birthday incident, I've decided not to give him any more leeway and start standing up for myself. He was late to your mother's funeral. He had a meeting he couldn't miss a few hours before the funeral started. He said it overran, but didn't actually apologize. Followed by, commenter, you live like this? OP, maybe not for much longer. Counseling? I've actually brought up counseling before, and he wasn't interested. He said it was a waste of money and time. Honestly, I'm not interested either anymore. I think we're past the point of it doing any good. OOP is voted NTA. Update post, March 3rd, 2024, 2 weeks later. Firstly, and most importantly, thank you so much for all the support and advice. It really means a lot to me. Since so many of you have helped me out, I thought I would give an update on how things have been over the past couple of weeks. My eldest had a school football match last week, a few days after I posted my original post. I planned for us to leave at 5 p.m. and, as per my resolution to not tolerate his tardiness anymore, left at 5 p.m. without my husband since he wasn't ready. Just like with my birthday dinner, he didn't show up. My youngest and I had a lovely time watching the match and supporting my eldest. He even scored a goal and his team won. Last weekend I met up with a couple of friends to catch up over lunch, and both my sons were going to their friend's birthday party the same day. My husband was in charge of dropping them off since my thing began about an hour before the party. I told him a week in advance, the day before and before I left the house, that he needed to get the kids to the party on time. I even followed the advice of some comments from my original post and told him that the party began at 12:30 instead of 1 p.m., so that the kids wouldn't be late if my husband wasn't ready to leave on time. At 1:30, I got a call from the birthday boy's dad asking if my sons were still coming to the party, and I also saw I had a missed call from my eldest. My husband had not taken them. I rang him several times, and he wouldn't pick up, so I called my eldest, and he answered the phone in tears. He said their dad was doing work on his car again, and when the kids asked him to take them to the party, he yelled at them and called them whiny brats. I said goodbye to my friends and went home to take my kids to their party. They were an hour late. He didn't care that the kids felt humiliated and missed a good deal of the party, which also meant that their friend was upset with them. Something inside me snapped, and I decided I was done. Your comments have put my marriage and my husband's behavior into perspective and opened my eyes. I've had a look at some of the literature and such that some of you recommended and have talked to my dad about what to do next. I spoke to the kids as well about the very likely possibility of their father and I splitting up. They weren't completely happy with it, which is understandable, but they agreed that it was the right decision. They said they had felt scared of their father on several recent occasions and didn't trust him anymore, which was heartbreaking to hear. I haven't been happy for a while, and neither have the kids, I now realize. In addition to my husband being late or not showing up at all, there are other issues in our relationship, and you have helped me realize the truth about his treatment of our family and given me the strength I need to put a stop to it. I can no longer justify his behavior or make excuses for him. Along with being late to my mother's funeral, he offered no emotional support when she died, to either me or the kids, which should have been enough to make me seriously consider my marriage, but I'm glad it's finally happened now. A couple of days ago, I told my husband how I felt and sent him my original post. To be honest, I have no interest in marriage counseling. I just want to move on with my life. But I suggested he look into therapy for himself. I explained that it didn't feel like he was part of the family anymore, and that our sons and I were struggling with the strain in our marriage, and I'm sure he has too. It's not a healthy environment for me, my sons or my husband, and I can't let my kids miss out because of their father's incompetence any longer. I told him that I want a divorce, as I'm sure many of you predicted, which he accepted. He told me that he no longer wants any involvement in anything to do with the family and will move out ASAP. My sons and I will go about our lives, and the soon-to-be ex-husband will go about his. I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. You're all my heroes, and I will be forever grateful. Thank you. Story 10. AITAH for telling my fiancé I don't want my Temu engagement ring. Original post, September 12th, 2024. My 27F fiancé, 29M, proposed to me a few weeks ago. It caught me completely by surprise, but we've been together for 3 years and things have been going great. So I was really excited and said yes. I really liked the ring when I first saw it, and my friends and family all think it is stunning. It's an oval cut with diamonds across the band. I asked where he got it, and he wouldn't tell me where, but that he got a great deal on it. I didn't think anything of it until yesterday we were in bed, and I was asked him if it was diamond or moissanite, mainly out of curiosity. I don't have a preference, BTW. He said he didn't know and would have to look it up. When I glanced over at his phone, he was in the Temu app. I asked him if he got it from there, and he didn't respond. So I asked again, and he responded with something like, "Does it matter?" and left the room and ended up sleeping on the couch. I spent all night so confused. Today decided to download the app and look up my ring, and I found one that looks identical. I found the exact ring, and it listed at $38. I am mad. He makes good money, $200K/year, and I feel like he could have shelled out some money for a ring better than one on Temu. AITAH for telling him I don't want it? OP's comments. OP's thoughts. Okay, I'm not mad that the diamonds are not real, but I worry about the quality of the ring because I imagined my engagement ring to at least be sturdy. It's fine for now, but I have a hard time believing it'll last longer than a year if it's $38 on Temu. Commenter. NTABC, that thing might turn your finger green. He's lucky you don't have a sensitivity to fake metals like some do. He makes good money, but bought a $38 ring. Is he cheap with other things where this discount shopping isn't a new thing for him and he's just an all-around penny pincher? My first thought was, did he not spend the money BC he doesn't want to expect this to last? OP. Yeah, let me provide some more context. Really, he's never been overly frugal. I'm probably more frugal than he is. Neither of us are huge spenders, but we each make enough to not have to strictly budget or anything. We have our own accounts and split rent equally. I know he has at least $100K across his savings investment accounts. We go out for drinks a few times a week and we'll go to concerts together and whatnot frequently. We travel a few times a year and stay in basic accommodations. Like our DoorDash the other night was $40. My ring costs less than DoorDashing dinner. Commenter, you are NTA, but what we all really want to know is whether or not you would still marry him if he replaces the ring. OOP. The responses to this have made me even more confused. People saying it could be a loyalty test, that he doesn't want me to be able to sell it if we divorce, or that he doesn't plan to be with me for long. I have a pit in my stomach. I haven't considered breaking things off, but that was before I wrote this here. I was thinking maybe he was just not thinking or rushed getting the ring, or maybe he genuinely thought he was getting a great deal on a high-quality ring. I'm not sure at this point. I plan to confront him when he gets back from work in a couple hours. The ring itself. The response to this is just absolutely insane. Sorry, I'm having a hard time keeping up with responses. A few of y'all want to see the ring, so here it is if you want to look it up. I'm still waiting for him to get home. Seller, LVZ Gem. 1CT Moissanite Ring Women's Wedding Band. Suitable for banquet party official occasion. Holiday Valentine's Day proposal. Engagement wedding gift anniversary. Gift birthday gift with certificate. I guess it technically is moissanite. OOP's post was removed before a verdict was rendered, but top comments were NTA. Update post, September 12, 2024, 6 hours later. After reading responses from my first post on the AITAH subreddit, it got taken down. I was freaking out a bit. He came home while I was FaceTiming a friend about this. I hung up with her and then talked to him for an hour or so. He apologized for sleeping on the couch and that he needed time to think. He doesn't see eye to eye with me on my concerns about the ring and says he did research and that it was highly rated. He says if the ring breaks, he will replace it, but didn't say it'd be higher quality. I have people messaging me that the ring could be harmful to my health and that Temu has horrible standards for their jewelry and labor issues, so now I really don't want to wear it. He left and went to his brother's house. Usually I'd go with him, but things are just tense. AITAH for telling him I still don't want it. Some of OOP's comments. Commenter, kind of tough because had you not found out it was from Temu, would you be upset? OOP, TBH. If I hadn't found out it was from Temu, I probably wouldn't be upset. But when it inevitably breaks or tarnishes, the truth would come out. Now that I know it has completely changed how I feel about the ring, even if it aesthetically doesn't look too bad. Commenter, did this come as a shock or is he normally cheap and thoughtless? OOP, he's not normally cheap or thoughtless. He's genuinely a great guy, which is making this harder to navigate. He started making me feel really guilty and materialistic today when we talked about this, and I can see his point of view, but I'm just confused. It feels like Temu is the bottom of the barrel. I'd be happy with a cheap, decent quality ring from Etsy or anywhere else. I don't really care about the price itself. It's more about the quality and feeling like he doesn't really value me the way I thought he did. OP addresses several commenters asking if he thinks she is a gold digger. This was her most comprehensive response. I want to clear up these gold digger rumors, BC. This isn't only about the cost of the ring. I only mention these things for context. Not BC, I feel he owes me something in return. When I met him, I was making just over $100K, and he was working part-time and doing an internship bringing in significantly less than me. He totaled his car early on in our relationship, and I happily drove him to his work every morning on the way to my work when he didn't have a car. When his mom got sick and went on hospice, I immediately canceled all of my travel plans and holiday plans with my family and sat with him visiting her every day for months. I helped with funeral arrangements. I helped plan his brother's wedding. I even loaned him money for a new car once he started his new job. He did pay me back, BTW. He moved in with me recently, and most everything in the home is mine that I paid for prior to the relationship, furniture, etc. I have paid for so many plane tickets for our travels, concert tickets, etc., that I've never asked him to pay back and never will. That's what a relationship is. I genuinely care for him. He has done similar gestures for me and is more than willing to spend money on dates. Believe it or not, I'm not this greedy woman sitting here excited to get his money. I have my own. Have they ever been ring shopping? We never went ring shopping. The proposal was a surprise to me. We'd casually discussed getting married in the future for the past year or so, but he never asked my taste in rings, so I was kind of thinking that had happened before the engagement. I actually like the style of the ring, but now that I know it's from Temu, I can't look at it the same way. Mini update comment. 4 hours later. I'm literally just sitting here refreshing your comments trying to figure out what to do next. He texted to let me know he plans at staying at his brother's for the weekend and is taking Friday off. It's not crazy abnormal since he's been watching football over there, but I feel like he's avoiding me now. I'm trying not to be pushy about the situation, and I'll give him some space, but ugh. Now I'm just in my head about all of it and regretting my initial reaction. It's just a dumb ring, and maybe I've read into it too much. The only other time we've had an argument like this, it was resolved within a couple hours, so I'm not used to this behavior from him. Update 2, same post. September 13th, 2024. Next day, update. He came home this morning while I was in a WFH meeting. These comments made my head spin all night. I got like 3 hours of sleep, so I admit I may be in the wrong for bringing up his finances, but I did. The gold digger rumors. When we met, I was making more than him and often paying for his things. His high-paying job is a recent development. I have my own money and don't need his. I asked him what was going on, if there was anything he needed to tell me, if he was testing me by doing this. Well, that really set him off. What kind of person do you think I am? You think I'm a cheapskate? A liar? You obviously think really poorly of me. But still, he never gave me a reason. So I asked why he was deflecting every question to victimize himself and to avoid my questions. He tried to leave again. So I tried de-escalating and told him I see where he's coming from, but I need to know if he still loves me. He was immediately apologetic and still wants to get married. He said I can just pick my ring out and buy it with my own money. He said he's sick of talking about this and it's water under the bridge now. He's acting like his normal self again since this convo. I hear him out there skipping around and humming to himself all happily, and it's actually pissing me off. Maybe I'm being dramatic, but I don't think I can handle a marriage with someone like this. Story 11. AITAH for asking my fiancé to skip this year's Christmas family vacation because our baby is due? Original post, December 4th, 2023. Context: I have gone to Florida with his family for the past 5 years for at least part of Christmas. Every other year, I returned before him to spend Christmas Day with my family. This year is the first time in a long time that all the other siblings are able to overlap dates. My fiancé has major FOMO, which is why this is a sensitive subject. His parents have always been weird about keeping their family close. They've never said it outright, but little things suggest they don't consider me completely part of their family yet since we aren't married. Also, my parents are away overseas dealing with a grandparent emergency. My mom has been kept in the loop, though, and is trying to come back as soon as she can ... My fiancé and I, 31M and 31F, are expecting our first baby due December 30th. His family has a vacation home in Florida, and they have gone every year during the holidays for about a month until after New Year. He agreed not to go this year because of the baby, but his family is insisting that he go and come back on the 28th, which is ample time before the baby is due. So he bought a ticket for December 15th, 28th. His reasoning is that his parents really want him there and his siblings will also be going. This is bothering me a lot more than I thought because I know pregnancies are unpredictable, especially in the last trimester. And if anything happens leading up to the due date, I need him there. My parents are away until December 26th, and my friends have their families, so I will be completely alone. The other reason, and I guess it's more selfish, is that I will be spending Christmas by myself. It's not the main reason why I'm bothered, but it's a small part of it. He's been spending Christmas every year in Florida since he was 15, and there will be many more trips after the baby is born. I don't know why he has to go this year. Anytime I bring it up, it results in a very uncomfortable fight about my expectations to put me first rather than his parents. I don't even bring it up anymore. His parents have always been kind to me, but they also don't see any problem, so I think I'm going crazy. AITAH here? Wow, I wasn't expecting this many responses, and I can't personally thank all of you, but thank you all so much. All your support and responses mean a lot, and I definitely plan on showing this thread to him. Relevant comment. Deeper context is that there was a major conflict between him and his SIL last year that ruined the vacation and drove a wedge between him and his siblings. They left us out of major events, trips, etc., and they only started repairing their relationship a couple months ago. While they are trying to fix things, they have left me out of it. They said it's a sibling matter. So I understand to a degree why he and his parents feels this trip is important to fixing his relationship with his family. But it definitely is the worst time for it. It's a sensitive topic. OOP is voted NTA. Update, same post. December 9th, 2023, 5 days later. I'm sorry for not updating sooner. Everything has been overwhelming and I'm trying to deal with a lot. The good news is that my mom arrived home yesterday. When I had explained everything to her, her sister, who is a retired nurse, insisted she come too. I'm so thankful to have them here. It's hard to get my feelings across as there's a bit of a cultural barrier. My mom is from HK, and without getting into details, the grandparent situation was very much an emergency. But she has siblings and my dad who is staying there ATM. As for my fiancé, I scheduled a virtual appointment with him in my Obgyn to update her and told her this whole situation. Okay, all of you. She was appalled and strongly recommended he not travel during this time. Her words were, "In my professional opinion, I'm going to very strongly recommend you reconsider your plans. In my personal opinion, I'm going to insist it." It was probably on me for not alerting her sooner his travel plans. After that, he is still going but adjusting his dates, so he will be back on the 22nd. There will be 1 day overlap with his siblings. His mom isn't too happy he won't be there for Christmas. She suggested he fly back later on the 25th instead, so he can spend a part of Christmas Day with them, but he said no. It's still not ideal for me. My mom and aunt has insisted to speak with his parents, so we've scheduled a call with them later today. I reached out to my best friend too about this after I read some of your responses and PMs. She was livid and informed her husband that she doesn't care if it's on Christmas Day. If I go into labor, she will drop everything and be there. She's also been kept up to date about who will be with me while he is away and will be visiting. I know there were a lot of questions regarding the family, but I can't address all of them. It's too much to write out. Yes, I know they don't treat me completely as family. There have always been small, passive-aggressive things that bothered me. Not invited to Mother's Father's Day events, left out of family Secret Santa, not being allowed to sleep in the same room when we visit, etc. Yes, I know that his mother must be aware that he shouldn't be leaving me at 37 weeks. She's not dumb, and I update her after all my appointments, so I know she knows this too. I don't know why she's saying it's okay, but I have an idea why. My mom has made it clear she will be addressing all of this in the call. Some of you wondered how they can afford to go to Florida for a month. His parents are retired and snowbird there. His siblings and SIL all have 9-to-5 jobs that are partly remote, so they are lucky enough to take their work to Florida and work there. My fiancé is a gig worker, so he dictates his own schedule. Obviously, their schedules don't always align. I haven't shown him this thread yet. ATM, it's just one more thing I don't want to deal with him. I may in the future, but I have suggested we go to therapy before we set a wedding date. He agreed. I am also seeking counseling for myself. Lastly, I am incredibly grateful to all of you who took time to respond, offer to visit me and bring me food. I have never posted on Reddit before, but I appreciate the support you've all shown me. Once again, thank you all so much. I'll try to update again after the baby comes. It might be a while, but please know that I am safe and have a lot of love surrounding me. Please have a safe and happy holidays. Also, I'm expecting a girl. Update 2, same post, December 27th, 2023, approximately 3 weeks from OG post. Happy holidays, everyone! I know some of you were asking for an update, so here it goes. Baby girl was born on Dex 20th at 6 pounds 10 ounces at 9:42 p.m. My mom, aunt, and best friend were there during labor. My mom was present during birth. She's healthy and we're all exhausted, but I'm so grateful for my support system. My ex-fiancé did not make it for the birth. During the video call with his mother, my mom told her that he needs to come back immediately, otherwise she will be taking me home and they will not be welcome to visit the baby. It was a very heated call, but the outcome was that my mom and aunt packed up my things and we went back to my parents' house where I currently am still residing. So, you can guess what happened there. It hurt a lot. I had a very upsetting phone call with him about his priorities now that we were literally down to the wire, and the conversation ended without much resolution. He hung up on me. I messaged him after our daughter was born to let him know I had given birth and that she was healthy. He tried to video call a lot after that, but I didn't pick up. He returned home on the 22nd as planned. Of course, I wasn't at the condo. I think they all thought my mom was bluffing. He tried to come by my parents' house many times, and at one point sat outside in his car for hours when my mom and aunt wouldn't let him in. Finally, on Christmas Day, we let him see his daughter, and he and I discussed our future. My mom and aunt have been very vocal about breaking off the engagement, and I agreed that after the call with his parents, I didn't want to be involved with a family who was so selfish. He told me his mother was very insistent he go on this trip to show his family that he wanted to mend his relationships with them, and that his SIL had been saying some awful things about me to him and his parents. I had told her some things in confidence a couple years ago about some issues I was having with him, and she turned it around on me. This was the nail in the coffin. I can't possibly marry into a family this toxic. So, as it stands now, I have broken off the engagement and will live at my parents' house. We have scheduled couples therapy, and our first session is tomorrow. He has apologized profusely and asked to stay with me to help with his daughter. My mom doesn't want him sleeping here, so he's been coming by in the morning to help with her and then leaving in the evening. His parents have told him that they would like to see our daughter as soon as they come back, and he has video chatted with them once to show our daughter to them. That's basically where we stand now. Undoubtedly, the situation will get more complicated once his parents come back, but I can't think about that right now. My baby girl is healthy and has a nursery set up in my childhood bedroom. She's surrounded by people who would give her the world. My aunt, who I haven't seen since I was 10, is here. Those are the positive things I'm focusing on. Story 12. AITAH for banning my husband and father-in-law from the delivery room due to their intensely stressful, creepy behavior during my pregnancy. Lot of context the character limit cuts off, but here's the gist. My husband and I are expecting our first child, which I knew would be a really sensitive issue as his own mother died in childbirth with him. We met with a marriage counselor to talk things through at the beginning, and he swears he's been seeing his own therapist twice a month throughout my pregnancy. I don't want to call him a liar, but I'm fairly sure he's either not going or not talking about the big issue. He and his father, a hugely active part of our lives, are completely convinced that I'm going to die in childbirth. They won't openly admit it, but their behavior has reached the point where it's constantly making me feel stressed and uncomfortable. When it was husband saying, "Please make sure your life insurance is up to date, and I'd like you to meet with a lawyer and draft a will," I was like, that's kind of intense, but okay if that makes you feel better. When husband asked me to go through all of my possessions and inventory what I wanted to be saved for the baby versus what I would want to be returned to my family in the event of my death, I put my foot down and said absolutely not. Too morbid. No way. My FIL, who lives a few blocks away and eats dinner with us 4 nights a week, got on my case about how I was making things difficult for my husband in the event that he will be a grieving widower with a newborn. I'm just going to add here that I've had a completely complication-free pregnancy and have no reason to think I will die screaming in the coming weeks. When I tell my husband this, he calls me paranoid, but I feel like my FIL wants me to die. His whole life identity for the past 35 years has been amazing single dad. Never dated or had close friends or even hobbies, really. And it seems like he's looking forward to being able to guide my husband through what he went through. At this point, I'd honestly be happy to never see my FIL again, and I certainly don't want him in the delivery room, especially since he told me he was putting his foot down about me not being allowed to have an epidural or laughing gas. He's a commanding presence, and I know that whatever he wants in the delivery room, he will get. I know people will say, "Oh, L&D nurses would never let that happen." But you haven't met this man. My husband, in addition to backing his dad on everything, acts like my due date is my death date, and has completely pulled away from me. Every minute with him is morbid, stressful, and a reminder that our marriage seems to be crumbling. No matter how many times I tell him his behavior makes me stressed and upset, it's just getting worse, and I do not want it around me while I'm concentrating on giving birth. Do I owe it to my husband to let him stress and upset me during labor? Is his presence at the birth more important than a safe and healthy delivery? My therapist says no, but this whole thing has been so weird I feel like I need some outside perspective. Update. AITAH for banning my husband and father-in-law from the delivery room due to their intensely stressful, creepy behavior during my pregnancy. Post, 2022. This is a long overdue update. I know I worried everyone, and I'm grateful every day for every ounce of concern that was sent my way. I'll be completely honest. I forgot the login information for my other account, and fussing about a throwaway Reddit account wasn't the highest priority in my life at the time. TLDR. I had a beautiful and healthy baby girl, and I divorced my ex-husband. I lived, obviously. To get right into it, I was unfortunately right about my suspicion that my ex wasn't going to therapy. I sat down with him and very firmly put my foot down about my mother being my support person in the delivery room alongside him, and that my, thankfully, ex-FIL was not to be anywhere near the delivery room. I also was very adamant that I was getting an epidural, and ex-FIL had no say about any medical procedures I may take. I also told him that I was seeking my own therapist, as his and his father's actions were worrying me. My ex-husband didn't take it well, to put it simply. I had never heard him shout at me like that, and it scared me a little. My fury outweighed my fear not long after, however. He told me I didn't need a therapist, that he was just trying to be prepared. I admittedly lost my temper and told him that I wasn't going to die. It wasn't my fault his father's trauma wormed its way into his head, and that he needed to fix it without taking it out on me. He yelled at me that he didn't need therapy. That caught me a little off guard. I asked him why he went to his therapist and was given advice about my death if he felt he didn't need it. His expression gave it away, and he caved not long after. It turns out there was no therapist, it was just his dad. During the times he was supposed to be at therapy, he was with his dad. I'm still fuming. In the end, I gave him a choice. He could either go to therapy or I was leaving. I had enough of their delusions. He chose to refuse therapy, and I packed my things and stayed with my mother. At that point, I still wasn't planning on divorce. I had hoped that we could possibly fix our marriage, as naive as it sounds. But my ex decided that if he couldn't convince me to go back, then he would get his father and the rest of his family to do it. I had to change my number due to the amount of harassment and vitriol they hurled at me. In the end, it was just my mother in the delivery room as I gave birth. I'm thankful for the nursing staff. They were a godsend, and I felt safe that neither my ex or his father would get even remotely close to the room without my say-so. The divorce is still ongoing, so I can't give too many details on that front, but I have hopes that we can work out a tentative co-parenting agreement. My ex isn't a bad father. He loves our baby girl. But our relationship is done. And as long as I live, ex-FIL will never be near my daughter. I'll wrap this up. I've got an adorable little toddler tugging at my leg ATM. I'm alive, I'm happy, and I've got my baby in my arms. Life is good. OP here with some answers. The poster responded to my DMS in the second throwaway account a few months back, which compelled me to post this update. She attempted to post in AITAH with the update, but due to not having the login information for the previous account, the mods refused to publish the update. She, according to her own account, gave up trying to update afterwards. The account seems to be suspended now, so it's dubious if any more answers will be forthcoming. Story 13. AITAH for wanting to dump my fiancé after she injured herself while I was away? Original post July 10th, 2024. While I, 30M, was away on business, my fiancé, 32F, decided to go out without telling me. We spoke in the afternoon. I was on my way to the airport ahead of an 8-hour flight, which was arriving at 5 a.m. Her friend had just come back from out of state, and she was planning on taking her out to dinner. Once I landed, I didn't want to wake her, as she normally gets up around 7. I got home and she wasn't there. Her car was parked outside, but she wasn't in bed. For a moment I panicked and thought she had gone to surprise me at the airport and I somehow missed her. But her car was outside. I call her and her phone rang to voicemail. I call 10 more times while I shower and change. At first I wasn't too worried, thinking maybe she went for a run, but the scenarios running through my head were getting darker. We have our phones on our iCloud account in case we lose them, so I bring it up to find her location. Her iPhone was at the hospital. My heart sank. I start heading to the hospital. All her family live out of state, so there's no one to call. The hospital is 10 minutes away. I speed, run red lights, park right in front of the emergency department door, and go in like a maniac, demanding the triage staff tell me where my wife is. They take me to her room. She's asleep in bed, but I can immediately see she's hurt. Her lip is swollen, and she looks like she's been beaten up, bruises on her face, splint thing on her nose. My panic and worry morph into rage, and I demand to know what happened and who did this to her. I was informed that she arrived in an ambulance at 2 a.m., having drunkenly stumbled and face-planted onto the curb while leaving a bar. She had a broken nose, chipped tooth, and other minor abrasions and scratches, but she was going to be fine. This made absolutely no sense. I seriously feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. I don't drink, never have, and she hasn't touched alcohol since college, basically. I don't even know what's happening at this point. She's tried to offer up some kind of explanation about how her friend pressured her to have wine while they were at dinner, and then they somehow ended up in a bar. She apparently has no recollection and teleported there. I've been giving her the silent treatment, and it's 8 p.m. She has been crying and wanting some sort of consolement or reassurance, but I genuinely think I'm done. This whole thing just came out of left field, and I'm not handling it well at all. We've been living together since we got engaged, and it would be a pretty clean split. Her parents own the house, so I can basically just take my stuff and go, I guess. I really don't know what to do. We've been together a year and a half, and I feel like we could get past this, but it's like this whole ordeal and the emotional roller coaster have sapped away the love I felt for her. Anyways, sorry for the novel, but wibta if I dump her. Added comments. Commenti YTA. This is kinda a big overreaction to someone going out to drink and getting hurt. Seems like you are just looking for an out to the relationship, and this is the most convenient way. OP. She's definitely not cheating or sneaking around like some people seem to think. We also have great insurance, so the medical bills are no issue. It's definitely the first time anything like this has happened. She is super responsible and mature, which one of the things that has made us so compatible. She's always so dignified and composed, which is one of the things I love most about her. Seeing her like this and learning about how it happened just kind of shattered the image I had of her in my mind. She is super embarrassed about it, which doesn't really help. OP replied this comment to another Redditor. OP, I get it. I'm TA. Enough people mentioned that she was roofied, so we went and got a drug panel done that came back clean. She just had too much to drink. Just to clarify, since a lot of you said I'm controlling or whatever, I'm really not. She's free to go out with or without telling me. It's just she normally always tells me her plans exactly, which is why this was so abnormal. Also, I never said I had a problem with her drinking. She's a grown woman, and she can do whatever she wants. It's just that she never drinks, which is why this was so shocking. She has a concussion, which we are blaming for the trouble remembering. I don't think she was blackout drunk, and neither does she. I'm not trying to defend my initial reaction, but I have a very stressful job, which has taken its toll on my mental health for sure, and I make an effort to eliminate any sort of non-work-related stress as a matter of necessity. Coming back to my wife in the hospital seriously injured was absolutely devastating, and I know that I didn't react well. My first thoughts were that she was attacked by someone, which infuriated me and made me want to go find whoever that was. Once I realized there was nobody to blame for this except her, some of those negative emotions were directed towards her. I'm not saying it's right, but I can't control how I feel. Let me also be clear about one thing. I wasn't ignoring her. I just really didn't know what to say to her, and I wanted to let her rest. I was processing the situation, and I knew if I didn't control what I said, I might say something that blamed her, or was hurtful or something along those lines, which is why I decided to hold my tongue until I sorted out my feelings. Yes, I know I'm the AH. OP updated the post same day. She broke off the engagement. We had a long talk, and apparently I've been cold and unsupportive. I disagree, but whatever. And she feels betrayed by my attitude. She thinks my expectations are unrealistic and that she's a human, not a robot. She said she needs someone who can let her fail, and I am not that person. AITAH. If I don't return the expensive watch my ex-fiancé's father gave me, July 13th, 2024. We broke up after being engaged for 6 months. One night when we were at her parents' place, her father gave it to me as a gift. It was shortly after we got engaged, and it wasn't my birthday or anything like that. There was no occasion, he just gave it to me and said, "I want you to have this." He took it off his wrist. I'm unlikely to ever see him again as he lives in California and I live in New York. He hasn't asked for it back, nor has my ex. I doubt she has any clue what it's worth, but I've had it appraised and it's worth over $70K. AITAH. If I keep the watch and don't say anything? Added comments. Commenté. Yes, you would be the asshole if you keep the watch without discussing it with your ex-fiancé or her father. While the watch was given to you as a gift, its significant value and the circumstances of your breakup suggest that there might be emotional and familial attachments involved. Keeping such a valuable item without at least offering to return it could be seen as disrespectful or opportunistic, especially considering the relationship dynamics and the fact that it was a gift from her father. It's best to communicate openly and transparently about it to avoid any misunderstandings or hurt feelings. Commenté. Given the reason you are now single, I don't know how you would be able to keep it without feeling like a total douchebag. Commenté. Just read your previous post, so yeah, AITAH, if you keep it, give it back to them. Story 14. AITAH for leaving a drunk girl alone at a bar? Original post. July 21st, 2024. This involves me, 32M, Matt, 30M, Matt's girlfriend Lisa, 28F, and her friend Jane, 20s. 2 days back, it was Matt's birthday. He invited me and few of our friends to a small birthday dinner at this restaurant, which is also kind of a bar. The plan was to eat, drink, and chill. Matt's girlfriend Lisa also invited few of her own friends. It was a group of around 15 people. I mostly hung out with my own friends and Matt and Lisa's friends with her. One of Lisa's friend, Jane, kept trying to talk to me throughout the evening. It was kinda awkward for me as I'm an introvert, and the conversations with her felt like they were going nowhere. At around 12, I decided to head back home. Jane came up to me and told me that even she wanted to go back home. I was like, okay, cool. Then she asked me if I could drop her off at her house. I asked her where she lived and she told me some address that wasn't even on my way, so I told her to ask someone else to drop her off. She asked me if I was sure I couldn't, and I was like, yep, absolutely. Jane was visibly drunk, but I figured she had like a group of friends, so someone would give her a ride. Also, I was tried as fuck and just wanted to go back and sleep. The next morning, I woke up to some very angry messages from Lisa. She was furious at me for leaving Jane alone at the party. Apparently, they all assumed that since I was hanging out with Jane, I would have the decency to drop her back home. I told her that I talked to Jane for a total of like 15 mins in the entire 4 hours. And I don't understand why everyone wanted me to be her personal chauffeur. All of her friends obviously think I'm a huge asshole. Matt has decided to stay neutral on this. Some of OOP's comments, what does Jane think? Apparently even Jane thinks I'm an asshole for not dropping her home. I'm actually kind of stumped at their behavior, NGL. On OOP's feelings or lack thereof for Jane? I'm pretty sure Jane is in her early 20s. Part of the reason the conversations were awkward with her was because she sounded like a kid to me. I felt there was a generational gap, LOL. Hooking up was out of question. To another commenter, it felt like a generation gap to me. I'm about to be 33 and I'm guessing Jane is younger than 25. Commenter, Matt doesn't seem like much of a friend, bud. OP, I feel Matt is just trying to not piss off his girlfriend. I don't blame him, honestly. There is no consensus bot on AITAH, but a majority of comments were NTA. Update post, September 15th, 2024. 2 months later, I posted about the incident about 2 months back. https://www.reddit.com/r/AITAH/s/hd7fsrvmsa. Lisa entirely stopped talking to me after the incident. Not that we were close before, but she would sometimes forward reels, etc. on Instagram. Matt was also being distant. But whatever. I got busy with work and forgot about it. A week after the said incident, Matt texted me saying he needed a favor. He said he wanted me to apologize to Jane. I was like, fuck, no, I'm not apologizing to her. Matt said that he knows that it's not my fault at all, and he's tried explaining this to Lisa, but she's adamant that I was an asshole to Jane and made Lisa look bad in front of her. Apparently Lisa gave Matt an ultimatum saying that if I don't apologize to her and Jane, Matt needs to cut me off. This honestly was some high school BS that Lisa was partaking in, and very toxic, and I told Matt the same thing. But he was really desperate and pathetically sad, so I agreed to text Jane an apology. I texted her something along the lines of, "Hey, sorry I didn't drop you off at your place like you asked. I was really tired and wasn't thinking. My bad." She replied with, "It's all right, don't worry about it." But this apparently made Jane think I'm interested in her or something, and I felt like an absolute idiot for agreeing to apologize. She started texting me, a lot. In the beginning I gave monosyllabic replies, but then her texting increased. A lot, and I straight up hit her with, "Please stop texting me. I'm not interested." This hurt her, and she snitched about this to Lisa, again, high school Bs, and Lisa started threatening Matt to go NC with me. They fought about this non-issue for like a week, and this made Matt realize that Lisa is really toxic, and they broke up. Jane hasn't tried contacting me either. Life is peaceful for the time being. Tilde the end tilde. OOP's comment. Commenter. Sounds like Jane wasn't the only one causing drama and being toxic. Glad you were able to cut out the negativity in your life. Story 15. AITAH for telling my sister's boyfriend to get out after he refused to eat the meal I cooked? Original post, September 15th, 2024. So here's what happened. I, 28F, invited my sister, 25F, and her boyfriend, 26M, over for dinner. I love cooking and had spent hours preparing this fancy meal. Homemade pasta, a slow-cooked ragu, a salad, and a tiramisu for dessert. I was really proud of it and excited to have them over. When they arrived, everything was fine at first. We sat down and I started serving the food. Her boyfriend, let's call him Steve, stared at the pasta for a moment, then looked at me and said, "I don't eat carbs." At first I thought he was joking, but nope, he was dead serious. He goes on about how he's super into keto and carbs are the enemy. Okay, fine, that's his choice. But when I offered to make him a salad or something else on the spot, he refused and said that I should have known about his diet beforehand. This is where it gets weird. He then pulls out a small Tupperware container from his bag, filled with what looked like boiled chicken and broccoli, and starts to eat it at my dinner table while the rest of us are trying to enjoy the meal I spent hours making. I was stunned and, honestly, kind of insulted. I told him it was rude to bring his own food without mentioning it to me beforehand, and he should have at least given me a heads up. He then goes off about how people need to respect his dietary choices, and that I was being controlling by not accommodating his needs. At this point, I'd had enough. I told him, "If you can't eat what's served and won't even let me make something else, then maybe you should just get out." He stood up, said something like, "I'm just trying to be healthy," grabbed his Tupperware and walked out. My sister stayed for a bit, but eventually left too, saying I overreacted. Now my sister's mad at me, saying I embarrassed her boyfriend and made them both feel unwelcome. My mom thinks I should apologize, but my friends are on my side, saying Steve was being incredibly rude. AITAH for telling him to get out? OOP's comment, top comment. Commenter, your sister didn't give you a heads up about his diet? OOP. Honestly, no, she didn't. I'm not sure if she even knew how serious he was about the whole keto thing because she never mentioned it. She eats pretty much anything, so I assumed he was the same. But even if she had, I feel like it still would have been polite for him to at least say something beforehand, instead of just showing up with his own meal. I would have happily made something keto-friendly if I had known. There is no consensus bot on AITAH, but top comments were NTA. Update post, September 21st, 2024, 6 days later. Well, y'all, buckle up because things have escalated in a way I never expected. After my initial post, I figured things would calm down once my sister had time to cool off. Spoiler alert, they did not. So the day after I told Steve to leave, my sister texts me saying they want to talk things through at a family dinner. I assumed it would be just the three of us, maybe at a neutral restaurant where we could hash it out like adults. Nope. Instead, my sister invites my parents, my brother, and Steve's parents to this dinner at my parents' house, turning it into some kind of weird intervention. I show up thinking it'll just be a casual conversation, but the moment I walk in, Steve's mom, let's call her Carol, is already going off about how Steve has always had special dietary needs and how people who care about him should respect his boundaries. The woman acts like the guy has a life-threatening allergy, not a trendy diet. My mom is sitting there looking super uncomfortable, while my dad's just quietly sipping his beer, clearly wishing he were anywhere else. So, Carol starts listing off Steve's dietary restrictions, and she's acting like I personally offended the whole keto community by serving pasta. Then, brace yourselves, Carol pulls out a folder. Yes, a literal folder with printouts. She hands one to me, one to my mom, and one to my dad. I'm flipping through this thing, and it's full of Steve's dietary guidelines, suggested meal plans, and even a list of keto-friendly restaurants we could go to in the future. At this point, I'm doing everything I can not to laugh, but it gets worse. Steve pipes up and says he's willing to forgive me for disrespecting his lifestyle if I agree to host a redo dinner where I follow his dietary restrictions to the letter. He says this will prove I'm serious about making amends and respecting his needs going forward. I thought he was joking, but no, he was dead serious. He even pulled out his phone to show me some keto recipe apps that I might find helpful. I was in total shock. My sister, by the way, said absolutely nothing during all of this, just staring at her plate like she wanted to disappear. My mom, bless her, tries to smooth things over by suggesting we all just eat whatever we want when we're together. But Carol snaps, "It's not that simple." She says that in their family they all follow keto together, and that's why Steve is so passionate about it. At this point, I've had enough. I stood up and said, "Look, I'm not redoing the dinner. I'm not making anyone a special keto feast. If Steve can't eat what I cook, that's fine, but bringing his own meal to my dinner without even telling me was disrespectful, and I'm not apologizing for feeling that way." And then, this is where it gets absolutely bonkers. Steve's dad stands up, points at me, and says, "This is exactly why Steve doesn't trust women to understand him. They always make it about themselves." The whole room went silent. My dad finally spoke up, saying, "I think it's time for you all to leave," and started walking toward the door, basically escorting Steve's parents out. Steve and my sister stayed behind, but Steve was furious. He started yelling about how families should support each other, and then accused me of trying to sabotage their relationship because I'm jealous of what they have. At that point, I just walked out and left the whole mess behind. Here's the kicker, though. A couple of days later, my sister called me and told me she and Steve were taking a break because she needed time to think. Apparently, this whole keto fiasco was the last straw in a long list of controlling behavior from Steve. She didn't realize just how bad it was until the whole family saw it play out at dinner. She even told me that Steve had been trying to get her to follow his diet for months, but she was hiding snacks in her car just to get a break from all the keto madness. So now Steve's gone full radio silent, my sister is staying with me for the time being, and I'm still getting passive-aggressive texts from Carol about how hurt Steve is and how he's just misunderstood. Honestly, I'm just glad my sister is finally seeing how controlling this guy was. TLDR. Steve's keto obsession led to a full-blown family intervention where his mom handed out dietary guidelines, and now my sister is taking a break from him because she realized how controlling he is. Story 16. AITAH for wearing an over-the-top outfit to my friend's birthday party and overshadowing the host. Original post, September 2nd, 2024. Before I begin, English is not my first language, so apologies for typos, bad grammar, and punctuation. I'm also on mobile and using a throwaway just in case. So last Friday night, my 24M friend, we'll call him Peter, celebrated his 28th birthday. His coworker, that is what he refers to her as, April offered to organize and host the party. The dress code was, as she put it, your gothic best. Peter loves anything morbid and macabre, so it would fit his taste perfectly. Now I prioritize comfort over looks, which leaves me dressing mostly in scrubs at work or sweats and hoodies when I'm out and about. Hence, April decided to remind me multiple times in increasingly condescending tone to follow the dress code. So I did just that. I wore a black velvet trouser and waistcoat set with a white 18th century men's shirt, a pirate shirt, if you will. All of these items I made completely myself, from drafting the patterns to sewing the shirt completely by hand and adding an embroidery moth across the back of the waistcoat. Now to the party itself. I ended up arriving later than most people due to being held up at work longer than expected. I warned both Peter and April about it. Peter said it was no problem at all, but I better show up, and April left me on read. So I arrived 40 minutes late, greeted April, congratulated Peter, and gave him his gift. Mocktails were drank and pleasantries were exchanged. Over the course of the night, I got a lot of compliments on my outfit, and my craft skills were a topic of conversation several times over the evening. It also didn't really help that when someone asked me where I got the suit or shirt from, Peter would loudly tell then all about how I made everything myself. I remember being spun around a couple of times so people could touch the embroidery in the back. Everyone had a good time, or so I thought. Over the weekend, April and her friends ended up bombarding my phone and any social media that they could find with absolutely nasty messages. How I was an attention seeker, how desperate I came across, how I absolutely ruined the party April had been planning for weeks. How dare I steal attention away and overshadow Peter and April? You get the idea. I feel like I'm going a bit insane. Overshadowing anybody was never my intention, especially my friend at his own party, and I don't think that I did. But all of these comments are making me rethink my choices. So am I the asshole here? I really need some outside perspective. Relevant comment? Peter is behind this. I doubt that it's the case. Know the guy for 10+ years, and he never had a problem with people overshadowing him. He is not insecure, and if he's got a problem with someone's actions, he'll say it. He wouldn't send his co-workers' girlfriends to harass a person on his behalf. Commenter NTA. April has a thing for Peter and sees you as a threat. She's going to find ways to criticize you and tear you down no matter what you do. OOP. I guess it also didn't help that Peter kept his hand on my back for most of the evening, and when he got absolutely wasted, put his face in my hair. Commenter. So maybe it's not just April's imagination that you are a threat to her attempts to connect with Peter. OOP. I think the biggest threat is Peter being a row ace and the way April behaves, not me. Commenter. Could he possibly be demi-romantic? Because Peter's behavior that you're describing present as a little bit more than platonic. Keeping his arm around you, smelling your hair, those are often actions, though not exclusively OFC, exhibited by people towards a paramour or crush of some degree. And yes, April is the problem. OOP. According to him, he is a row ace. And he wasn't smelling my hair, more like rubbing his face on the top of my head. He says it's because he likes how my hair feels. He plays with my hair often enough, and when he gets a little too drunk, he face plants into it, though he did it mostly back when we were in uni. Knowing him, it could just be a texture thing. The others liking the outfit. At some point, I ended up with like 4 very drunk people rubbing the moth's body. I made it from faux fur, and by extension my back with their fingers. Was a weird experience to say the least. The outfit. I had help when it came to drafting the suit from someone who actually knows what they are doing, LOL. The shirt was made from a bunch of squares, so no problems there. The embroidery is all split stitches and faux fur for the body of the moth. I really made it sound to be much more impressive than it is. OOP is voted NTA. Update, same post. September 3rd, 2024, next day. Update. This morning showed Peter the post, and all of the messages from April and Carr never heard him be this angry, said he'll deal with them. Turns out April is a pathological liar and had been telling everyone in the office that Peter and her are in a relationship, but are keeping it low-key. She also was taking pictures of him every time she walked by his office and showing them to her friends as proof. So her friends thought that I was trying to steal her man. They aren't even co-workers. She just greets clients at the front desk at the firm Peter work at. Peter ripped her a new one. Their boss, April's uncle, ripped her a new one. The co-worker she lied to ripped her a new one. April ended up throwing a tantrum. Police were called. The results. April is currently on a 48-hour hold. Peter is moving to work from home full-time. I got apologies for April's uncle, mom, and a few friends and co-workers. Story 17. AITAH for controlling what my 23F boyfriend, 24M, eats. Original post, February 20th, 2024. Throwaway because I don't want him to find this, but I'm honestly at my wit's end here. I, 23F, have been dating my boyfriend Jake, 24M, for 4 years. I'd say we're a happy couple overall, but lately this argument has come up that's divided us. He's always had unique tastes. Cereal with orange juice instead of milk, mayo and butter sandwiches, and raw onions have been the worst culprits. I've put up with these. We all have our quirks, right? Well, 2 weeks ago he started eating garlic as his midnight snack. Raw. Cloves. Of. Garlic. I can't share a drink with him without it reeking of garlic somehow. And kissing him? It's like shoving a clove straight in your mouth. He swears he's only eating them because he didn't want them to go to waste, and that he would stop once he finished the head of garlic. But just when I finally thought it was over, I caught him sneaking a second one into the kitchen last night when he thought I was asleep. I confronted him about his secret grocery trip this morning, and he got really defensive and denied it. I'm trying not to be a nag here, but it's really wearing on me. The garlicky aura surrounding him makes me want to avoid him at all costs. But I don't want to do that because he's my boyfriend. AITAH for giving him an ultimatum of no more eating garlic. Edit for context. His diet seems healthy overall, and he goes to the gym a lot. He had a DR's appointment not long ago, and I don't think anything came up, but I can ask him to go again. Sorry if the title is confusing, I just feel bad because I did give him an ultimatum this morning, which I know isn't good. I really love him and don't want to break up, but I just don't know what to do. He hasn't come back since this morning. Relevant comments? If you really can't stand it, convey that. I tried to explain when I talked to him this morning. I told him that the other weird food combos don't really bother me, but the particular smell of this is too much. He said that I just need more time to get used to it, but it's been nearly 2 weeks already. Maybe if you eat more, you'll get used to it. And maybe he's suffering from a vitamin deficiency and should go to a doctor. I tried that too. When he first started, I ate a bite just to see if it was actually good. But I just can't bring myself to eat anymore. He's not talking to me since this morning, but I'll try texting him TMRW about a doctor's appointment. His usual diet. Besides the occasional unique food choice, I think his diet's pretty healthy. He eats his vegetables and gets protein and all that, and he goes to the gym. Is there anything else weird going on? We haven't been going on our usual dates for the past 2-ish months, and he's had to leave to take calls a bit, but that's just because he's been swamped at work. Nothing weird. His busy season is almost over, though, which is good. OP has voted NTA. Update, same post. February 21st, 2024, next day. Editor's note. I moved the TLDR to the bottom. Thank you all for your advice yesterday. It gave me a lot to think about. As it turns out, some of your comments ended up being spot on. Yesterday evening, I tried texting him about seeing a doctor like you guys suggested. He never replied. I guess he still has me muted. I spent the night tossing and turning. I kept going over what I was going to say to him when he got home. Not that it mattered, because he didn't come back last night. That worried me, so this morning I checked his location. He stopped sharing it with me through his phone, but I guess he forgot I can still see it on Snapchat. It showed him about 30 minutes away at some house off a random back road. I was pretty confused and honestly panicked. All his friends that I know of live in the city. I tried to call him again and was sent to voicemail, so I drove over there to see what was up. When I got to the house, I noticed a woman about my age gardening in the front yard. I was pretty upset already, so I flat out asked her if she had seen my partner. She seemed surprised and asked if I meant Jake. She invited me inside, and there he was. Apparently she's into gardening, and they met at her stand last fall when he went to stock up on onions at our local farmer's market. They hit it off and have been seeing each other for the past 6 months and made it official back when his busy season started. She said lately she's been giving Jake the garlic she grew last summer since it's going to go bad soon. That's why he was so insistent on eating it by himself instead of cooking it into a shared dish like normal, and why he's been eating onions like an apple instead of letting me use them on my sandwiches. He didn't want to give me her presents because, in his own words, she grew it with love for me, and if you ate them, you would have known. At that point I saw red, so I just left. Since then, Jake's been blowing up my phone about how we can fix this and that he won't do it again, but I'm so over it at this point. Just when I thought my life couldn't get any worse, while I was moving his stuff to the curb, I found his stash of garlic. Shoved in the back of his closet was 1 pound of garlic in a Home Depot bucket, along with letters she had written him. I'm keeping the garlic. Elle don't think we can ever come back from his cheating, but I'm going to at least get some good meals out of this terrible situation. Please send me your favorite recipes to use the garlic in. I need a distraction to keep my mind off of everything. TLDR. He's been cheating on me with a garlic farmer for the past 6 months. I wish I was joking. Editor's note. OOP has posted in R Garlic and R Cooking asking for recipes here and here. There's also a great comment exchange here. Editor's note 2. OOP commented on this post. Whoa, hey Reddit. Thank you all for the advice and great recipes, and thanks you, Luciaria Rose, for helping to share my story. All these comments made me think about how this must have been for the farmer, so much so that I reached out to her today. I might have drunkenly found her on Insta the night Jake dumped me. Not my proudest moment. I can see what he saw in her. She's sweet as can be, and was apparently just as blindsided by his cheating as I was. We got to talking, and she even offered to help with my goodbye garlic dinner that I've been planning for this weekend using some of the recipes I've seen. I'm honestly a bit nervous to be face-to-face with her just because of how much this whole thing has hurt me. But I might take her up on it? Story 18. AITAH for suing my girlfriend after she had my 1967 Impala project taken to the scrapyard? I'll try to keep this short. I had a 1967 Impala 4-door that I bought in February 2019. A couple months ago I bought my first house that had a 2.5-car garage. I moved the car in and started tearing it down for a complete restoration. I had the body in one bay and the chassis in another, plus the whole garage filled with parts. About 2 months ago, my girlfriend came to live with me during this whole crisis, and the whole time has hated that car. She wants to park in the garage, but I have 2 acres of land with a lot of nice places to park under shady trees, or hell, even in the barn if it has to be inside. I tell her tough luck, it's my house, and it's not like I can just throw it back together real quick. Anyways, I was out of town for a couple days on a business trip for the small local company I work for. When I got back, my girlfriend was all smiles, making me food all the time, doing all the chores, all that. I thought maybe she just was happy to have me home, but then I realized that I didn't see her car in its usual spot. I asked her where she parked so I could make sure I mow that area and keep it clean, and she said not to worry, because she parked in the garage. I asked how, and she told me to go check it out. Turns out that while I was gone, she hired some people to come over and move everything related to that car, including the drivetrain, body, and chassis and all parts, and take it to the local dump scrapyard. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I had spent over $11,000 on that car, including new parts, services, and the car itself. I told her that I was going to be taking her to court for that, and she brushed me off like I was being dramatic. I told her that it's done between us and to pack her things and leave. I admit I was really angry, but I did end up getting a lawyer, and as I have all the receipts for all that money spent and I have her on my house's security cam footage letting the guys in and watching them take it all, I think I can win. Her family and friends are absolutely blowing me up, saying it's just a stupid old piece of junk and that she cannot pay back all that money I spent and that I should just let it go. But I have been putting all my time, effort, and money into that car for 1.5 years now, and goddammit if I am not going to get justice for what she did. AITAH. Verdict, NTA, edit. Thank you all so much for the support and awards and everything. I'm glad I have some people on my side. I got a call from her mom about 20 minutes ago, and she told me that I was ruining her daughter's life over a stupid car. I told her she ruined her own life. I've been gathering documentation and stuff, and I'm about to head down to the police station and file a report, as suggested by Lots here. Once again, thank you all.
Update.
Went to the police station last night, was told to come back in the morning. Just got back and filed an official report against her for grand larceny and grand theft auto. I showed them all the receipts I had for the car and the footage of her letting the guys come and take it, as well as the title for the vehicle in my name. They said they will be in contact with all three parties, me, ex-GF, and junkyard guys, soon, and they will hopefully be able to recover some or all of the car. Just have to wait now.
Huge update! They found my goddamn car!
The junkyard guys apparently were in the middle of hiding it when the police came to ask them questions. It was on a forklift, and they were going to put it on top of a pile of cars that was hidden behind more piles of cars. They said it was theirs and they had the title, but obviously didn't have the title for it. And since they matched the VIN on the chassis and body to the VIN on my title, it was obviously mine. I know at least one person there has been arrested. I think he was in the camera footage I talked about earlier, but IDK, if it was the boss or whomever, or even his specific charge, they also told me they would be looking into this specific junkyard for any other vehicles reported stolen. They said they haven't been able to get in contact with my ex just yet, but they're working on it. I'm just so glad they found my car. Luckily, I made quite an album of pictures detailing me tearing down the car, and so I can use that to prove what parts they had were mine, so I can hopefully get most or all of it back. Police haven't let me take it back home yet, as they say it is evidence or something, so hopefully I can get it back eventually. Thank you all so much for the support and advice. She's gonna be all right. Story 19. AITAH for refusing to speak to my sister because she wouldn't let my daughter be a flower girl at her wedding as planned, causing multiple family members to boycott it too. So I, 28F, have a sister, 26F, who got married last month. I'm gonna be blunt. My sister has always been one of those people that has to have everything perfect, to the point sometimes it was hard to be around her. But she was my little sister and I have no other siblings, so I always made excuses when she'd hurt me when I was doing things right in her eyes. I was kind of nervous when she asked me and my daughter, 4, to be a bridesmaid in February because I knew she was going to be a massive bridezilla. Over the last few months we have had to practice multiple dances, pay for very expensive dresses, and put up with her tantrums. I told her from the start if she was in any way nasty to my child, I wouldn't stand for it. She assured me she'd never be nasty towards her favorite person in the whole world. Well, her now husband's little cousin, 8, started coming to dance practice with her mom, and my sister started to ask her do little things like show my daughter how to throw the petals. I honestly thought she'd make them both flower girls for a while, but when she started to make my daughter sit out and have the little girl do her poem, I knew what was going to happen, but prayed I was wrong. I invited her out to coffee a few weeks before the wedding and asked her what was going on. She told me she was glad I brought it up because she was looking for the right time. Apparently, my 4-year-old wasn't doing everything right, and she was afraid she was going to mess up her version by saying the wrong thing or not doing the dance right on the day. I told her she'd doing a pretty good job and everyone was always praising her. Sister giggled and said it's not their day now, is it? So it's not up to us what's good enough for her wedding. I asked her straight up if she thought her niece wasn't good enough to be in her wedding. She replied with not as something big as a flower girl, but to attend. I asked her how I was going to break it to my daughter who's excited about being in the wedding. She just told me figure it out. I told her I'd give her a day to rethink her decision. If not, we wouldn't be attending and speaking to her ever again before I left. 2 days passed. I couldn't put it off any longer, so I broke the news to my child. Even though I tried my hardest and sugar-coated it as much as possible, the news still broke her heart. She cried herself to sleep. So did I and my husband. Well, after a week when I was a no-show for anything, my sister started to panic and started to get everyone to talk to me, even drop off gifts for my daughter. When I told them why, a good number of our family, including the bridesmaids, dropped out. We ended up going for a few weeks away with no phones. When we came back, my sister had sent me multiple letters and emails apologizing. Her in-laws and husband have called me an asshole for doing what I did. Edit. Fix some spelling. Eat it. My Bill saw this post and told my sister, who cried reading all your comments. How do I know? Because they showed up at my job knowing I wouldn't want a scene. They begged me to delete the post before people they know see it and kept apologizing. Finally, my sister said she might be pregnant. I told even if she is, pregnancy doesn't wash away all the shitty things she's done, and I hope her husband's siblings never treats her child the way she treated mine, because I don't plan to be a part of her life. She burst into tears, saying she was sorry, and she loves my daughter. I told her leave before I called security, and her husband tried to talk to me alone because I was making her so upset, and everyone was cold towards them because of me. I told them no, everyone was cold because Cinderella and Prince Charming forgot that after treating everyone like shit, that no one wanted to be in their happy ever after. They didn't like my mocking tone and raised their voice at me. My boss, who knows the situation and has a 5-year-old herself, told them to leave, so she's on my side. My sister's MIL reached out to my parents asking for everyone to meet up on neutral terms so we can all work out our differences. I'm going to go to this dinner party because I want to hear their story and officially tell them to leave me alone. I will update you guys. Update? My sister's photographer saw this post and reached out to me on here. She knew my full name and she gave me her Instagram to confirm. This goes deeper than my daughter not dancing right. Apparently, she overheard my sisters, Mill and aunt-in-law, talking in the bathroom. They used slurs against my daughter and husband. They called me the black man's *re. The photographer said they were both drunk, but Bill also made jokes around my sister earlier in the day, which she smiled at. She also thinks my family members heard it, and it's the reason they dropped out. So yeah, my daughter wasn't Flower Girl because, unlike me, her aunt or the other Flower Girl, she doesn't have blue eyes and blonde hair. If you're reading this, Sarah and Frank, fuck you and your family. My child is too good to be around trash like you both. Stay the fuck away from us, and if anyone in my family knew the real story and didn't tell me, fuck you too. Edit 4. Thanks everyone for the love and support, but especially thank you to the photographer who came forward. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention before I let them back into our lives. You're real one. Edit 5. So I thought I'd answer a lot of questions that keep getting asked, because I'm tried and will be going to bed soon. My parents are fully on my side, so are multiple other family members that haven't been cut off. My daughter doesn't know the full story, but as treat, for all of us, we plan to take her to Disneyland for Christmas, and my parents have said they will join us. As for my sister, some people have mentioned she might be in an abuse *** relationship. Well, her husband is from old money, and his family is very well-connected in England, which is something she always wanted, so IDK, but if she is in a bad relationship and afraid it's up to my husband to forgive her, not me, you can post this wherever you like. Please don't message me again, and I will not give up the photographer's information because she wants to stay anonymous. I found out 3 family members knew, including a bridesmaid that dropped out, knew. I've seen a lot of people making fun of the fact me and my husband cried ourselves to sleep the night my daughter found out. We didn't cry about her not being a flower, nor did we cry while she was awake. We cried because our child was extremely hurt, and there's no feeling WPRs than your child thinking they're not good enough for someone they love. For the commenter who was extremely nasty about my husband crying, a father's love is equal to a mother's. Men do, and are allowed to have emotions. Do better. Story 20. AITAH. For giving my work Secret Santa a handmade gift that will ultimately be for her daughter. Original post. December 14th, 2024. Hi everyone, I posted this in a different community, but it got removed. Here is a recap. So I, 20s F, am taking my part in my workplace Secret Santa where I am gifting to Jennifer, 30s F. Jennifer is in my team. We are friendly, chat regularly, and have lunch together most days. For the past month or so, she has been complaining how she cannot get a specific toy for her daughter as it sells out in shops too quickly, and when she looks online, they are being sold for outrageous prices on eBay. When our Secret Santa was announced, we were told that we can get anything, but there is a £10 limit. When I drew Jennifer's name, I thought that a good gift would be to crochet her daughter something similar to the toy that she wants to get her daughter. I bought the pattern and yarn and started working away to create this gift. The pattern was 5 pounds, and the yarn came to about 15 pounds, but as I would not use all of the yarn for this project, I decided to just consider this gift as being worth 5 pounds. The other 5 pounds I have spent on a small candle and some chocolate. I was catching up with a friend last night and told her about what I was doing as a gift. She pulled a face and said that I was being an AAH, as I should have spent the entire amount of money solely on Jennifer, as it was meant to be her gift. She also said that as a mother, she probably won't get much thought for her, as all the attention will be on her daughter, and that I should get her something better than a shitty candle and chocolate. She also said that a crochet version of the toy is not the same as the actual thing, and probably wouldn't be wanted anyway. I feel guilty now that I thought of her daughter over Jennifer, and if this is common that the mothers get overlooked, maybe I should scrap the toy idea and find something solely for Jennifer. I genuinely thought the toy would be a good gift to relieve a bit of Jennifer's stress at not finding the actual toy she wanted, but I may be wrong. AITAH, for giving my work Secret Santa a handmade gift that will ultimately be for her daughter? Small update with added details. After my initial post that was removed, I received some great comments suggesting that I spend the allotted amount on Jennifer. This is what I've decided to do. I have kept the candle and chocolate for myself. It was a gingerbread-scented candle and a bar of dairy milk, and have ordered a plant terrarium for Jennifer. She has often mentioned how she wants to get back into her plants, but has neglected them since having her daughter. Jennifer's daughter Olivia has just turned 2 last month, and the toy that Jennifer has been searching for was a talking Miss Rachel doll. Because Olivia absolutely loves Miss Rachel, I am still going to give Jennifer the crocheted Miss Rachel doll and say it is a Christmas gift from me to Olivia. I have often mentioned how I crochet stuffies for my niece's nephew and some friends' children, so I hope she will like it. The gift exchange is next Wednesday. As for my friend who called me an to begin with, she is single and child-free, which is why I wanted to ask others for their opinions. I have spoken to my friends and sister who are mothers. My own mother unfortunately passed a few years ago. Whether it was a good gift, and I got mixed opinions from them. Some said that they would love to have a gift like that, and others said my friend had a point, but they would still love the gift regardless. I think most of them just didn't want to hurt my feelings anyway. Thank you to everyone who had commented on the original post. I hope you see this and know that I truly appreciate everyone giving me feedback and advice. I will update after the gift exchange to let everyone know how it went. AITAH has no consensus bot. OP was NTA. Top comments. Commenter 1. NTA. That's a weird thought for your friend to have for a gift that is so thoughtful. It's pretty clear she's not a parent and has no idea how parents think. Proceed with your plan. Commenter 2. You're NTA either way, but I do love the terrarium idea along with the doll you made. Moms sometimes do get forgotten, and it was very thoughtful of you to do this. Commenter 3. NTA as a parent. I'd be happy to receive a gift that would actually benefit my child. The fact the lady has been saying she can't find the toy she's looking for, and you have gone to the trouble of finding similar that you can make is so thoughtful that would make me even happier to receive it. Commenter 4. NTA. This is above and beyond. Update, December 24th, 2024, 10 days later. Hi all, just wanted to provide a quick update on my previous post. So the Secret Santa exchange was last week, and I gave Jennifer her terrarium, which she loved. I received a book about cat breeds. It just listed the different breeds and added cartoon pictures of them. Not sure what my Secret Santa was thinking, but at least it wasn't a shitty candle. I decided to wait to give Jennifer the crochet doll until today, as it was our last day together, and we would be the only people in the office. Jennifer was so happy with the doll that she did actually cry a little when she saw it. She still has not managed to find a talking Miss Rachel doll yet, so she was feeling very guilty that Olivia would be missing out. Jennifer couldn't stop thanking me and told me that she knows Olivia is going to love the doll too. Most likely will never put it down. I didn't tell her about how I was going to give the doll to her as part of her Secret Santa. Instead, I told Jennifer that I had stumbled upon a pattern that I wanted to try out, and that because she has been having trouble finding a toy, that this could be used as a placeholder until she could get the one she wanted. Jennifer just kept hugging me and saying thank you. She also bought me lunch in a Starbucks. It has been a pretty great day. It made me feel very happy knowing that my gift is appreciated and that I made a lovely lady happy. So it is a nice, happy update. Hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. Additional comment from OOP. OOP. Thank you everyone for your lovely comments and Merry Christmas. It is currently Christmas morning for me. Here is a link for my crochet doll of Miss Rachel. Hope you all have a wonderful day with friends, family, and loved ones. I'm glad my post made so many of you happy. Top comments. Commenter 1. Merry Christmas to you as well. That little girl will be so freaking happy tomorrow, today, depends where you live. Commenter 2. Aw, this makes me really happy. OP, you have the biggest heart and I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas. That said, I think it's time for me to get off Reddit, because I just found the post that made me smile. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays. Commenter 3. Read this multiple times now because each time it makes me happy. FYI. I would have also loved the doll as a secret Santa gift, as it was something you truly thought about and would have reduced my Christmas stress a little. You are a lovely person. Story 21. AITAH for turning down the birthday gift my mom's boyfriend gave me? I 14F am kinda confused if I'm in the wrong here. I'm leaning towards that I am, but I want someone else's opinion. My mom started dating a new guy like 6-ish months ago, and I honestly never really liked him. I don't know how to explain it other than he just gives me weird vibes. I've been trying to be nice, though, because my mom likes him and I want her to be happy. He's been trying to make an effort with me, I think. He'll send me texts throughout the day and pictures. He tells me I'm smart and stuff too, which is nice. But I don't know. I'm just kind of uncomfortable with it. My mom says he's just being nice, but I don't know. Anyway, my birthday was a couple days ago, and he got me a really expensive necklace. He also gave me a ticket to a show that I've been wanting to go see, and he said he has the other one and that we should go together. I just felt like it was too much, and I told him that I was really grateful but that I couldn't accept them. He got really mad, and he said that he already spent the money, so I should just take it and go with him. But I really didn't want to. It ended with him yelling at me and me basically running away to my bedroom. My family thinks I was too mean and that he's just trying to bond with me, I don't know. AITAH? Relevant, comma. Away bid 9,705. NTA? Even if you don't know why you feel uncomfortable, please trust your gut. OP. I guess I just worry I'm overthinking. I mean, he is really nice. He gives me snacks and stuff a lot, and he tells me I'm smart and pretty and stuff. IDK. Marathon Rabbit 69. Just FYI, this detail just pretty much confirmed your gut reaction for the adults in the room. This is inappropriate conversation, and as innocent as it might seem, it mirrors common grooming scripts. I think that if you have the opportunity to get distance, by staying with someone other than your mom, or by convincing your mom to help you set boundaries and enforce them, then you should. But really, you need to get out of there. Oh, grooming? I don't know if it's that serious. Even if I wanted to, there's not really anywhere I could go, other than my grandparents' place. My dad isn't in the picture. Besides, my mom would never put me in danger. I don't think she'd be dating him if he wasn't someone I could trust. And Bonnell, your mother is bamboozled by him. He is probably love-bombing her. OP. I never really understood love-bombing. Is being affectionate a bad thing? I don't want my mom to get hurt by him. Reference Afraid 5139. Being affectionate isn't a bad thing. Being overly affectionate is. X. Spending time with your partner and surprise flowers once in a while is nice. Getting flowers or gifts every single day is too much. I can't say for 100% certain he is planning to groom you. But I will say that you should always trust your gut because something is clearly off. And that volatile reaction he had is proof. Normal people don't get mad when you won't accept a gift, especially when you barely know them. I can also say it's very not normal to regularly text your partner's kid multiple times a day unless there is an active conversation. X, what time you need picked up from school, or if the family is planning an event. A high amount of compliments is also abnormal. At minimum, this man is trying way too hard to gain your trust. Please remain wary, and try to never be alone with him. You're 14, you've known him barely 6 months. He has no reason to be alone with you unless he has to transport you somewhere for your mom, like if something happens and he has to bring you to the hospital, and there should be 0 detours. Also, always keep your phone on you, and don't hesitate to at least audio record any weird interactions you have with him. Please protect yourself. There are plenty of parents who don't realize a partner is dangerous to themselves or their kid until it's too late. Worth at 3,223. Going to a concert is an intimate thing. Yeah, there are lots of other people around, but it's something that happens late in the evening. You'll be traveling to and from the concert alone. There are just so many opportunities for lascivious behavior. He might be a straight-up guy, nothing negative or suspicious, but why would he not get a ticket for you, Mom, too? Why just you and him? Why not give the second ticket to your mom? Why does he want to spend several hours alone with you? It's possible there are very good and right answers to all these questions, likely even. But it does make one pause and think of the negative possibilities. OOP is asked about how many gifts she's been given and how much alone time she spent with him. She says he frequently buys her mom gifts and also gifts for her. It's definitely a thing for him. He'll bring me back gifts from their dates all the time, too. He says he doesn't want me to feel left out. My mom thinks it's sweet, and sometimes she'll joke that he likes me more than her, but I don't see that. Anyway, I have spent some time alone with him. One weekend my mom had to go away for an emergency and she left me at home and had him check up on me. I don't think anything particularly weird or creepy happened, though I ended up sleeping through most of it, which was a little weird because I don't normally nap. I'm getting off topic. Point being, I'm fine being alone with him for a bit. I just would prefer not to be. So maybe you're right. I should have a conversation with my mom. Edema 6,969. Whoa. Was it a slow onset of being tired and groggy, or did it just kind of happen pretty fast? I don't really remember. I just remember him coming over, making lunch for me, and then getting really tired. I thought it was kind of weird because I fell asleep on the couch instead of actually going to bed, but I figured it had just been a long week. Why? Fredrid Fooey. He might have drugged you. He might have been testing how long you would be out before you woke up so he would know for next time. If you ever wake up and parts of your body are sore that were not sore when you went to sleep, you may have been drugged. OP. That, huh? I remember feeling really wrong when I woke up afterwards. I was hurting too, but I thought I had just slept wrong because I was on the couch and not in bed. I don't know if I want to think about this. Adama 6,969. Sweetheart, when you woke, was the hurting in your neck with a bit of stiffness? Kind of felt like you had a hangover? I know it's only words of a stranger, but you need to tell your mother immediately, if not for you, but the next little girl he targets. OP? I mean, I've never had a hangover before, but I remember that I had a headache when I woke up. I also felt super tired, and like I couldn't wake up. I think my neck felt stiff. I more was focused on the fact that my back and chest hurt. I also remember having a bruise on my hip that I didn't remember getting. Update November 4th, 2024. So if any of you were interested, you were right. My mom's boyfriend was trying to groom me. Apparently, for as much as my family said I was overreacting by turning down his gift, my mom didn't like that he yelled at me. Apparently, while she was pushing him for answers about why he got me something so expensive in the first place, he said something she thought was suspicious. Turns out he only started dating her because my mom had a picture of her, my older sister, and me on her dating profile, and he wanted to get to me, which is creepy. She said she's taking that picture off her profile now, but also she's not going to go on dates for a while, which I definitely feel bad about. I can't help but feel like it's my fault. But yeah, that's the update. Thank you guys for being so nice, even if you thought I was being a little stupid. I hadn't really learned much about predators before now. Edit. People keep bringing it up, so maybe some of you can give me advice. In a comment, I mentioned him watching me one weekend by himself and sleeping through most of it. Some of you guys are thinking he drugged me and did something because I only got tired after he made me lunch and I woke up sore. Should I actually tell my mom? I don't really see why it matters considering it happened like 2 weeks ago and I don't think I could prove anything anyway. Relevant comments. thick hip-stight lips. OP, this is not your fault at all. You are never responsible for anyone else's predatory behavior. Thank goodness your mom chose her kids and didn't keep that asshole around. Always trust your instinct. It will never steer you wrong. I'm so glad you're safe and he's gone. OP, I didn't doubt that my mom would choose me and my sister. The whole situation just makes me sad. Bino0526. If your mom has stopped dating him, he may still try to get to you by showing up at your school or any activities you're involved in. If he shows up at your school, let the people in the office know and let your mom know. If he comes to your house and your mom's not home, don't let him in. Call the police if he won't leave. Be careful. Trash Tila, please tell your mom about the weekend he watched you. I don't know for sure if he did anything, but the fact that you weren't tired until he gave you something is a red flag. Not to mention, you said you were sore when you woke up. Please tell your mom. She did the right thing by breaking it off and getting him away from you, but there are consequences to his actions that you, no offense intended in this statement, a child, shouldn't have to go through. Ope. My mom gets home in less than an hour. I guess I'll talk to her then. Grog_you. Oh, I'm sorry this happened to you, but please tell your mom about this. As everyone said, get checked for STIs, etc. I really hope he was just checking the drug on you like what the other Redditor said without doing anything to you. I don't know if he can actually be charged or anything, but I'd report him anyway because that man is a predator. I mean, who drugged kids? I'm sure it's not his first time chasing grooming underage girls. Probably there are moms out there who dated him before that experienced the same thing. Anyway, thanks for being brave and telling your story. Murky_government_29. I was scrolling for some reaction about Edit 2. This needs to be upvoted. OP, you described a gut feeling about this guy, and as a random Redditor, I get a huge gut feeling about the details you described from the weekend. You are not sure if something happened, and I think maybe you want to be sure. You can inform police, hospital, and ask for a medical exam to get answers. Maybe there is some kind of blood test to check if there are traces of any drugs. You can consider an examination by a gynecologist. Maybe they can see if something happened in that area. Then you can ask if an STD and pregnancy test is recommended. Sorry for language. English is not my first language. Last but not least. OP, I'm very, very proud of you. You did incredibly good. Please keep talking with your mom about how you feel. Nothing is her or your fault. You two are stronger than this creep. Update to November 5th, 2024. I don't know if this will be my last update or not, but I wanted to post it because of how many of you seemed worried about me. I told my mom. It was really hard. I want to say I was brave about it, but I cried a lot and was really scared. I could barely actually say it out loud, so I showed her my Reddit post and what you guys were saying. She told me that I shouldn't trust strangers on the internet, but that she agreed that what happened the weekend he was checking in on me was weird. She took me to the ER right after I told her, even though it's really not an emergency. I don't really understand everything that the doctors did, so please forgive me if I say anything wrong. They made me do a blood test, urine test, and they took some of my hair because they said that some drugs can be detectable for a few weeks after. The urine test came back already, and it was confusing because at first they said it was PCP. But then they said that they did another test, and apparently there are traces of ketamine, so I don't really know if that means I tested positive for both or if it was only ketamine. I mean, I've never taken either of those things, so he definitely drugged me, though. They said he probably gave me something else, too, because how I described it didn't seem like ketamine. But I don't really know what that means. Anyway, I guess we're waiting to see if anything else comes back. They also did a pelvic exam and some ultrasound thing. I don't remember what they called it. They said there was trauma, so I was either raped or assaulted in some way. I am, or was I guess, a virgin, so there's no debate there. I also don't exactly know how they can tell, but obviously it's their job, so I don't really feel any way about it, but the social worker they brought in said I'm probably in shock. I told them I had gotten my period afterwards with bad cramps, but they told me that it was probably not actually my period and just me bleeding from it. But yeah, that's where we're at. I'm still in the hospital currently. I don't really know why, but I am. I'm at least staying till tomorrow, apparently. They want me to meet with a psychologist, and they were talking about starting me on some medication. As for police, they've been contacted, but my mom isn't telling me much. I had to answer so many questions earlier. Thank you guys for being so nice. I probably would have never known what happened if someone didn't point it out. I don't know how exactly I feel about that because maybe it would have been nicer to not know. But still, thanks. I'm also sorry if this post doesn't make sense. I don't really feel like myself. Relevant comments. Business_monkey7. I am relieved that the police are involved and that your mom is protecting you. So many of us can't believe this could happen to our family, but it is out there. Remember that none of this is your fault.
OP.
Thank you. I'm just so tired at this point. I don't know what I'm feeling anymore. It doesn't feel real at all. Usual Archer 916. When I was raped, I felt no emotion. Looking back decades later, I was in shock. So what you are feeling makes sense. Just tell your therapist what you told us.
OP.
Yeah. I'm feeling noticeably more this morning. Mainly anxiety. I feel bad. I woke up with a panic attack and scared the nurses because my heart rate alarm went off. Mocha_lattes_. Sweetheart, I just want to say, virginity is a concept constructed by people. If you don't count it or remember it, then you can absolutely still be a virgin. If you want to talk about the hymen breaking, then that can happen for a million different reasons. My cousin's broke during horseback riding. Mine while I was playing a sport. Your hymen breaking doesn't mean shit. You never willingly had sex, so you are still a virgin. I hope you find some peace in a therapist. Tell your mom you want her to talk to someone too. Jazzy_B. In response to someone who is a CSA survivor, a Redditor wrote that virginity cannot be taken but only given. I thought that was lovely and true. Hey Paula 1963. I'm so thankful to see this update and know that you and your mom have taken steps in the right direction. Please don't be shy about asking questions when you don't understand things, like your test results. It's the job of doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals to explain things to their patients in a way that the patient will understand. Without any medical training, few of us understand medical jargon. Ask them to write things down for you, even if you prefer. Just ask these professionals to make everything clear to both you and your mom. Please also don't be shy about telling the psychologist, social worker, and police officers everything too. The more information they have, the better they'll be able to help you. No doubt you're tired and might feel icky and gross about all this, but you will definitely come through as a stronger person. Update 3 November 6, 2024. Just a short post to my account because I don't want to keep posting stuff to AITAH, and this isn't a big one or anything. I was discharged from the hospital and am currently heading home. My mom had my uncle check the house for cameras this morning like suggested. Thankfully, he didn't find anything. I think I'm going to stop posting updates about everything. I'm not feeling like myself, and I am quite tired of the people PMing me to tell me I'm lying. I fucking wish I was lying to you. For all the questions people keep asking. No, I hadn't been taught much about child predators before this. I was taught stranger danger and to not let an adult touch my privates, and that's it. Maybe I'm an idiot for not learning more before. I mean, how dare I assume I was safe, right? I can't change it now, though, and I know more now than I ever wish I had to. I don't know why my mom posted a picture of all of us on a dating app. Yes, all of us realize now it was dumb. I don't know why he outright admitted it. As I've said, I wasn't there for the conversation, and I just know what my mom told me about it. For those of you who were getting annoyed about the urine drug test thing, I did ask my doctor this morning about it because I was curious too. He said they have had people test positive for ketamine in urine up to 14 days after taking it. The weekend I keep talking about was the 26/27, which was 9/10 days ago. I guess technically not 2 full weeks ago, so apparently plausible. He also said the PCP was a false positive. The only positive I currently have is ketamine. I'm sorry if I'm being aggressive. I've been bouncing between crying and lashing out this morning, and I'm just so fucking tired. The therapist was nice. I have an outpatient appointment scheduled with a different one in a week. The nurses and doctors were really nice. Apparently they did an STI panel with the blood they took, but they're still waiting on results. But yeah, that's all the updates you'll get, probably for a long while if I ever update again. I really want to thank those of you who've been nice to me and have given me advice. Relevant comment. Mysterious _ book 8747. Hugs. A digital detox is definitely not a bad idea. Thinking of you and praying for you. Radian _ mention _ 5155. As someone who went through similar, it is not your fault. I hope you are able to find peace as you move forward in life. If you are in the U.S., Office of the Victim's Advocate can help you get counseling to deal with your feelings. It took me a long time to admit I needed help dealing with everything and didn't expect it to help, but it made a huge difference to help me cope with everything. Update for November 21st, 2024. Hi everyone. I know I said I wasn't planning on updating again, or at least not for a while, but I did think some of you would appreciate the update, and I'm in a bit better of a place now. I think I've finally come to terms with what happened for the most part anyway. So last we left off, I had just left the hospital after finding out my mom's ex had drugged and SA'd me when he'd watched me over the weekend. I'm also going to give some warning that this is probably going to be pretty TMI because, I haven't really wanted to talk with people IRL about this. For those of you who were worried about STDs, apparently, he gave me chlamydia. The doctors told me it was a thing that not everyone has obvious symptoms apparently, so it's not weird I didn't know. Which is super weird because I always assumed STDs hurt really bad. But anyway, I got antibiotics, so all should be good. I also had my first ever appointment with an OB-GYN, which was weird. She did say there shouldn't be any permanent issues from this, which apparently was a concern of the hospital doctor because of how severe the damage seemed like a week plus out. As for the people who talked about him maybe trying to approach me at school, my mom alerted the school about him. He hasn't showed up at my school or anything, but sometimes I swear I see his car. My therapist, which I've already had 4 appointments with, crazy, said that I should be aware, but that it's more than likely not him and that it's my anxiety. The police were involved for a while, but they said that without DNA evidence, they couldn't technically prove it was him. I don't know how true that is, but my mom said some very mean words about them, so I'm assuming it was not a great conversation. So I guess we just have to move forward on our own. My mom is no longer on any dating apps. It's gotten more and more obvious to me how guilty she feels, but I think she's slowly starting to act more normal with me and my sister again. She also got a gun and has been working on her aim at the shooting range. Kinda crazy because she's always hated guns, but when I asked, she just cursed out the police. I don't really know how to take that, so I'm just rolling with it. I'm sure Thanksgiving is going to be weird because basically everyone knows what happened now, but worst case scenario, I'm going to hide from everyone in my bedroom since we're hosting. I'm kind of worried about someone making a comment about it, especially since maybe some of you guessed it because of how little I really knew about sex and predators and stuff. But a lot of my family is super religious. I'm just worried they'll make comments about me being impure or something. I hope not, though. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Things are mostly normal again, just a bit more therapy, anxiety, and knowledge about sex and sexual predators. Thank all of you who have been really kind to me. It's been a weird few weeks. I started painting again yesterday, though, so maybe I'm getting back to being me. Relevant. Commence? Phantasmal _ Dragonian. If anyone says anything like you're impure, they are not family. Tell your mom and I'm sure she'll agree. That gun is in case he ever shows his face again, and your mom is straight up doing whatever it takes to try to help you hold on to any innocence that you still have left. Treasure that feeling. Lean into knowing the strength of that love, and that will likely be your best way forward with this. If this happened to my daughter, I'd be in jail and her mom would be alone, but the monster would be gone. Your mom has to fight the monster off and still be there, and that's so much harder. Ancient canopies. First, I can't tell you how sorry I am. But my comment is just to let you know something I haven't seen anyone mentioning. People go through hard stuff and get blamed. So they internalize that it was their fault. Then they see someone else get hurt, and the part in them that was hurt and blamed before cannot stand it. So they blame the victim again. Because not doing so would mean that they have been wronged all this time, and this hurts more than acting like an AH. I'm not saying this to justify their actions, but to explain that they happen and there's a reason, but they are clearly wrong. If your family makes such comments about you, you don't have to pretend they aren't being idiots. Let them know. But don't commit the same mistakes I did in my first 30 years of life, which was defend myself externally, but internally accept their words. I was always a brat to my religious family, and I always clapped back. But after many years of therapy, I realized there was two parts of me. The intellectual knew they were wrong. The emotional wanted them to accept me. It's a crazy thing, this mind of ours. Beautiful and frightening at the same time. It can be your best coach in life or your biggest enemy. I assure you that anyone who says you're impure or any other garbage like that is really in a fight with their own minds. They live in fear and act as if they belong to a greater cause. But that is just because, again, reality can hurt and they're not willing to face it. We all have stories. We all project our shadows onto others, and we all get influenced by the shadows of one another. But you don't have to take it in. Awareness makes all the difference. You notice the thought, feeling, and you question it. Many times you'll see you don't actually believe it. But even when you know you don't believe it, take some time to be your own therapist and hear yourself. I do this by writing letters without thinking, just writing. Because you too have both minds, the intellectual and the emotional, and both deserve to be heard and cared for. Your mom is doing great. She made a mistake by putting your picture, but it was out of ignorance, not knowing. You did nothing wrong. You didn't have to have been prepared or anything like that. The fault is entirely on the predator's shoulders. He needs to be locked up. I think it's great that you're painting again. And I think that whatever you feel like you need to do, that's your way of healing. Trust your intuition to guide you to the best decisions. Sometimes is working with a therapist. Sometimes is distracting yourself with some show. You have all the time you need, and at some point the bad feelings will be just like a TV turned on another room on a rainy day. You'll barely notice it there, if you notice it at all.